We are live. And man, am I excited to be here with you guys, man. Shout out to Raider Nation for pulling up on a Saturday, man. We're going to give a second to let the chat fill up, man. We got a lot of things to talk about. We're wrapping up the first week of Raiders training camp, man. It is officially here, and I'm so excited, man. So we're going to wait for the chat to pull up, man. We're going to wait. We've got offensive side of the football to talk about. We've got defensive side of the football to talk about. But can we just say what an offseason this has been? I mean, there's just something so different about what's going on here out in the desert. And to be quite frankly, whatever Champ Kelly, Dave Ziegler, and Josh McDaniels got going on, I like it. It's unique. It's different. And I'm all in for it. Especially when you talk about, man, what they went through last year. With this entire organization, the entire John Gruden issue, the Henry Ruggs situation, all things that are going for the Raiders right now, and Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler find a way to pull it around. And I understand that John Gruden wasn't necessarily an NFL guy. Okay, the league was clearly out to be against him. But now that Josh McDaniels is taking over, man, it's just like people are just sleeping on us now. That's the only issue. So if you're in the chat, man, pull up, smash the like button, man. It sends this video up the algorithm and allows more people to come in. And as the chat starts to fill up, man, we will get started. So shout out to the chat already, man. We got James Furpo. He says, "What's up, Ray? Salute nation, salute panel." And he gives a Raiders. We got Eric, Raider Hater Hunter. I appreciate you, brother. I don't know if you've been on this channel before yet, but if it's your first time here, man, I'm so grateful to have you, man. Just waiting on everybody to pull up. Halo Raider, the man, the myth, the legend, a guy that I'm thankful to call a good friend. He's a remarkable man. I appreciate him pulling up to the show, always showing love, always supporting. Halo, you have all my respect in the world, brother, and I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well. Yoshi pulls up, man. I'm excited. So, man, let's just get into it, man. We are going to talk about this off season, and then we're gonna address it to the chat, man. We're gonna open up the books, man. And we got Raphael. He says, "Yo, what's good, Halo? What's going on, Raphael? Man, I hope you're doing good." So let's just jump straight into it, man. Let's jump straight into training camp and everything that's going on, and it's starting off with the defensive side of the football. And I really want to focus in up front. You know, this is an area where I'm not going to hit the panic button because it's just way too early for that. I'm not going to get all riled up about it. But look, with Jonathan Hankins and Bilal Nichols on the PUP list, let's just face it. The fact of the matter is we don't know if these guys are going to be available for week 1. And that's a concerning issue for the Raiders. Let's just face it. That is a big issue for the Raiders. If Bilal Nichols, a guy who offers a lot of push on the interior side of the football, man, if he is not ready to go week 1, then you have to start asking, well, what's their goal, man? What are they going to do to address that kind of situation? Now, don't get me wrong. Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler are working. These young men have come into this offseason, and they're ready to compete. And I love it. I love to see the work and the effort that they've put in. But look, there's a guy on this roster that I'm a little bit disappointed in when it comes to the defensive line, and I'm not going to lie. That's Vernon Butler, y'all. Vernon Butler has necessarily been a no-show. Now, I know he's on the non-injury football-related issue. I know that he might be going through something, but look, this is a guy who's had behavioral issues in the past. This is a guy who has struggled to find a consistent home outside of his time with the Carolina Panthers when he played defensive end and found a lot of success. Let's not confuse that with anything. The guy found a lot of success with the Carolina Panthers. I just don't know. Right now, we need somebody to step up on the defensive line. We need a veteran to step up. We need a guy to fill in. And Vernon Butler's just not that guy right now. He's not. And it's unfortunate. So look for the Raiders, man. Look for the Raiders to address somebody in the open market. Now, I don't necessarily want to get into the Ndamukong Suh talks because that has been just regurgitated. If Ndamukong Suh, if the Raiders come to an agreement, look, then I'm all for it. But look for them to hit waiver wires and look for them to really notice it if some of these teams start releasing players here in the near future. Chronicles of the Black Hole says Klee needs to step up. And look, There's a situation out on the open market here. Quinn wants out of Chicago. Okay. And this is a guy who last season had 18 and a half sacks. What would it take to give up a Cleve Farrell? You know what I'm saying? What would it take to maybe give up a Cleve Farrell in a late round draft pick and go get the veteran? And then you're talking about a front four that's just nasty, right? Malcolm Koontz, Quinn, Crosby, Chandler Jones. I mean, it's just going to be absolutely nasty. So, yeah, Clee is a guy that needs to step up. It's time for Cleveland Farrell to step up. There's no shot of, okay, Digital Press pulled up. Hey, Digital, what's going on? Hey, I'm going to have Digital work on something, man, right now. And I'm excited to bring that to you guys. We got some things going on in the background. And Digital, if you're listening, man, I've got the email. I'm going to send it to you after the live show. And you guys can look forward to for some new awesome. I don't want to give it away. I'll just let you guys wait and see, man. We got a lot of stuff going on in the background. What do you guys think about the new setup? We haven't even addressed that yet. Before we go on with the training camp talks, how do you guys like the new setup, man? We've come a long way. I mean, I was recording videos in my car to start out, man. That's where we were at. And then I got a little stand and was recording stuff with my cell phone, and you guys still supported. And now look, in a single off season, man, we're coming a long way. So let me know what you guys think about the studio, man. But to get back to football, we need to address the interior defensive line. Focusing on the defense, let's go back to the secondary a little bit. Look, in 2021, Patrick Graham carried 7 defensive backs. That's something that I'm looking forward to them doing this season. I could see them carrying a lot of guys. Look, this system is going to require a lot of communication. A lot of guys are going to have to step up. And especially with Trayvon Mullen hurt, look, Rock Ya-Sin is going to have to step up. Anthony Averett is going to have to step up. Nate Hobbs is going to have to set up. You know what I mean? Nate Hobbs is going to be one of those guys, right? That don't be surprised if you can kick Anthony Averett on the inside. And I'm really curious to see what Patrick Graham does with this unit. Kick Anthony Averett on the inside and let Nate Hobbs play on the outside. I think a lot of people forget he got reps in the Washington game on the outside and was able to really create turnovers and be a problem on the outside. This guy has all the measurables to play outside. Now, look, I know that he was an all-pro at the slot position, and that was in the cover 3 scheme. If we're not necessarily going to run something similar to that and the whole dynamic changes, look, maybe Nate Hobbs' skill set in this defensive scheme specifically is better suited at the outside. And let's face it, the Raiders have a need. Nate Hobbs and Rock Ya-Sin on the outside if Trayvon Mullen's a no-go, and then you kick a guy like Anthony Averett, a Meek Robinson, a Darius Phillips, a Cravon LeBlanc. You kick those guys on the inside and let them compete for that slot position and put your 2 best options on the outside. Now, I don't necessarily think the Raiders are done addressing this, and I think we've seen that at the top of camp, right? They released Dallin Levitt, and look, I hope that the guy goes and finds a home on a roster. I could see him being a special teams player for somebody, but for the Raiders right now, Josh McDaniels came out and said something really interesting that I liked, and he's going into the USFL, and really, I call it the developmental league for the NFL because that's what it's going to turn into. And I'm glad that Josh McDaniels isn't afraid to turn over every stone that needs to be turned over for the Raiders organization. If that means going to a developmental league and looking for guys that have had success and give them the next opportunity, look, the Raiders organization has shown that they've done this in times past. I mean, the Raiders are known for being that team that it might not work out with your first stop. It might not work out for your second stop. But when you find a home with the Raiders, they give you that opportunity to resurrect your career. And that's what I like. I like that Josh McDaniels isn't afraid to go grab guys that they can develop, maybe stash on a practice squad, maybe be roster depth. I like it, man. I like what Josh McDaniels is doing. So let me address the chat right quick, man. Digital says setup looks good. I appreciate that, brother. Yoshi says it looks great. Fire. Digital Perez says salute OG. Salute Halo. Digital Perez is fishing at Lake Minnetonka. Ooh, that's sweet, bro. Nice, brother. I like that. Salute James. James says salute to the chat, man. Everybody that's in the chat, man, go smash that like button. Boost this video up the YouTube algorithm so we can get more people in the live stream. Just makes your experience better. It benefits me. It benefits you. And, man, let's just make tonight a great night. Like I said, man, I appreciate each and every one of you coming and spending some time with me this Saturday. Snoop says salute Raider Way in the nation. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for pulling up. Salute DigiP. That's man, dude. Digital Perez, man, we've been talking, and he is such a good dude, and I really respect what it is he's able to do. And like I said, we're going to be collaborating real soon. We've got something special brewing. So let's get back to it. Back to the defensive back room. Look, Rock Ya-Sin has been reported this week, had a really good week. Now, let's not jump ahead of ourselves, right? The pads aren't on. There's a lot of moving parts right now. But look, let's just face it. Rock Ya-Sin is out here putting in work this offseason. Did really good. It was reported that he was covering Davante Adams, sticky in coverage. Now let's not put any cap on this situation. Right when Davante Adams, when these pads come on next week and things get really real out in the desert, when things really start to heat up and guys are out there playing football, Davante Adams is going to separate himself from the pack a little bit, and I can't wait for that. But look, for the first week, Rock Ya-Sin's here to compete. The secondary is here to work, and that's what you want to see. Going up against an offensive unit like we have, Hunter Renfrow and Davante Adams, Darren Waller, all the depth pieces you have, right? You've got Mac Hollins, Keelan Cole, Demarcus Robinson, all these guys, man. When you can throw this at a defensive secondary, who, let's face it, a lot of them are playing for the first time together. There's a lot that has to come around early. They have to find a lot of success early. These guys are going to be asked a lot of Patrick Graham. So I'm really excited to see the development of the secondary as training camp goes on. So transition a little bit. Let's talk about the offensive side of the football, because just as much as the defense has issues, not issues, but necessarily some things that I want to address, the offense does as well. And starting up front with Coach Priscillo, man, the left and right guard position is really unique. John Simpson, obviously it looks like the Raiders are going to move forward with John Simpson as the starter for now. And overall, man, let me just say that I like it. I don't have a problem with it, especially if Coach Priscillo thinks that he can get his hands and his feet down. This is the strongest offensive lineman we got. I mean, John Simpson is a mauler, and in this power gap scheme, you want your big guys up front, guys who can reset the line of scrimmage, which was something that I just don't see Dylan Parham doing right away, is getting a push and being able to recreate that line of scrimmage and get depth in the next level of these defenses, which is why I like to see him compete with the backup center with Andre James. I like that. I like that he's competing for the backup guard spot. Those are things. Look, you have an opportunity to build this roster the right way. And for a long time now, we've seen the Raiders force players into the starting lineup. You go down even Derek Carr, Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, Trayvon Merrick, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Mullen, Divine Diablo. A lot of these guys, man, they've been asked to start right away. Alex Leatherwood. And you've seen that it's been hit or miss, right? But when you look at the core team of the Raiders, you could say that the Raiders actually nailed it by going this route, getting them a lot of experience early on, asking these young guys to step up when maybe they weren't even necessarily ready. Maybe their technique wasn't completely developed all the way. But this young group of players, man, you have an opportunity to put them behind an established young core of talent and really develop them the right way, man. And that's something that I'm looking forward for the Raiders, this Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler era, is to let these young guys develop a bit. There's nothing wrong with it. Dylan Parham does not have to start year one. Now, if he goes in and later on in the season earns a starting spot, then by all means go and do that. But these guys don't necessarily have to start right away. It doesn't have to be that way. So what I'm looking forward to is the development of this offense and this offensive line. I want to get the more established players. John Simpson got a lot of experience last year. And later in the season, look, the lights kind of came on a little bit. He had a lot better. He finished the season a lot better than what he started. This guy's a lot of football, and Coach Priscillo likes guys that have played a lot of football. So, look, I'm really, really excited, man. So, look, shout out to the chat, man. If you guys haven't yet and you're in the chat, go and smash the like button. Boost this up the algorithm. I'm going to address the chat here. Snoop Hernandez says Rock Ya-Sin looks solid, and he does, man. Look, Rock Ya-Sin is a guy who's just on an upward trajectory. The Raiders caught this cat at a right time. A lot of these players, man, you miss them. You either sign or trade for them when they're not at their peak. Rock Ya-Sin is one of those players who's constantly rising, and you could argue that his best football is ahead of him. In this scheme, I think they hit a home run with Rock Ya-Sin. I'm not going to say he's going to be elite cover shutdown corner, but this guy's going to come in here and he's going to compete his tail off. This guy's going to line up anywhere where you ask him, and he's going to play football game in, game out. If he's healthy, he's ready to go. He led the Colts last year in pass defended. And look, coming into a secondary where there's an open competition, this is what kind of guy you're looking for. And Rock Ya-Sin's come in and it showed, look, he showed that he's willing to compete with the best wide receiver in the entire National Football League, and he found success against him. So all eyes on G.com says, salute chat. Shout out to the panel, man. Raider Nation for life. Salute OG. James Furpo says, 3 likes. Go hit that like button. Everybody in the chat, man. We don't ask much from you guys at all. Go and smash that like button, man. It allows more people to find this channel and find this live show and tune in, man, and the show just gets bigger. So if you guys haven't, go and share on your IG right now that Raider Ray is live so other people can pull up to the panel and make this a better experience. Now that we talked about Dylan Parham being the backup, now that we talked about the offensive line a little bit, look, the right tackle position is really unique. I'm curious to see once the pad comes on, what's their Mumford going to do? What is their plan with him? Is Bam Mussolini? He was getting reps at the left tackle position. Another guy that's a really big developmental piece. What are these younger guys going to do? What are they going to do with these guys that are stashed back on the roster? I'm really curious. But look, Raider Nation, football is here. It's back. Football is back, and I can't believe it, man. We got a game in like less than 2 weeks. In less than 2 weeks, we're going to see this roster on the football field playing a game in the Hall of Fame game. I mean, that's wild. I'm absolutely ready for it, man. I'm so excited. But look, DC to Devontae Adams, man, in the 11-on-11 and the 7-on-7 drills, these guys were hitting. They're already showing that chemistry that they got, man. And it didn't take long to refire that up, right? It did not take long to get that chemistry back going. And that's something I'm really excited about as well. Look, Devontae Adams and Derek Carr are really going to take the league by storm. This isn't like you're signing a free agent piece and they're coming in and you don't have any type of chemistry. No, these guys, Derek Carr's thrown more touchdown to Devontae Adams than he has anybody in his career. And that's just a fact. This guy has probably had more practice time with Devontae than any wide receiver in his entire NFL career. I mean, that is what's so special about this connection. And you're already seeing early flashes of it. You know, I can't wait to see what middle of camp looks like or towards the end of camp. Really, I'm looking forward to that Patriots joint practice. I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. And by that time, I think that this offense is going to click on all cylinders. I'm curious to see. I'd imagine that the offense is ahead of schedule a little bit with the kind of leader that Derek Carr is. And I'm sure he's ate up this playbook, and him and the chemistry that he has with Hunter, the chemistry he has Foster and Waller. Look, really, he's been playing a lot of football with a lot of these guys. I think the offense is going to pick up relatively quick. I'm extremely excited about it, right? Because it's really going to make this defense force them to step their game up. And when you are going up against every day a well-oiled machine, an offense like the Raiders have, and if they can start clicking on all cylinders, all it's going to do is bring the best out of this defensive unit. And with leadership like Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, you know what I mean? Even a guy like Deron Harmon, Denzel Perryman, you've got leadership on all levels of this entire defensive unit, and that is absolutely fantastic. Watching clips, man, there was a player that stood out. Well, before I get into that, man, let me address these chats right quick. Halo says Hall of Fame game. That's right, brother. He says DC4 MVP season without a shadow of a doubt. And look, it's a fact. Derek Carr. And look, you see this in the presser, right? You seen this attitude, and there's a saying, man, is don't take kindness for weakness. And that's my case with Derek Carr this offseason and really in times past, in recent seasons. Don't take kindness for weakness. The thing about these guys who are kind and they're premier athletes that play at a high level, they've got something that you should fear, and they've learned to tame the beast that's inside. And when somebody's learned to tame the beast that's inside of you, that's actually a scarier individual than one that doesn't have control of their internal self. And Derek Carr, you've seen that in the press conference a little bit with Paul Gutierrez. And Paul's got away with a lot with his mouth, right? And it's cool to see Derek Carr in a respectful way, but to the point, like, look, bro, like you need to pump the brakes on that and back up. Like, I love to see that out of my leader. I love to see Derek Carr stand up. He doesn't have to cuss. He ain't got to do none of that, bro. He's just going to tell you straight up, hey, yo, pump the brakes on it. You're talking a little reckless right now. And DC has a different look in his eye. DC has his boy. DC has Devontae Adams. He's got the best cast around him, and he knows it. He's probably got the best defensive coordinator since he's been a member of the Raiders, and he knows it. He sees it in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11 drills. This team's different, and he feels it in the building. I know it does. And going into the year that he's going into, it's all in. It's all in. We're coming for the playoffs. And once we punch our ticket to the playoffs, let's go make a run. Let's go make a real run. SC's in the building, man. Shout out to you, SC, brother. I hope that you are doing good. I hope you like the new setup, man. We've come a long way, haven't we? Yoshi, what is good, brother? Halo says, salute, little bro, SC. SC says, Halo, how are you? Snoop in the chat, man, chopping it up with the people. Sup, peoples from Lafayette. Hit them likes, fam. Everybody that's in the chat, man, go and hit those like buttons. Let people know. Let people know that we are live and we got a good show going on, man. Yoshi says, what's up, Eric? All eyes. Shout out, man. Shout out to SC. If you guys haven't, man, go over to his channel. Subscribe to SC, man. Support your other YouTube content creators. I really appreciate SC and what he does. He's come a long way. Halo says, it's the hair, brother. Why does his attitude change with his haircut? I mean, this is a definition of look good, feel good, right? And that's what DC's on. And I love it, man. When DC's fired up, this is another thing I want to talk about. Look, when DC's on and DC's fired up, DC's a tough quarterback to go and play against. Now, look, since 2015, they have 23 fourth-quarter comebacks, 29 game-winning drives. This is a quarterback who deserves to be among the elite. Now, look, his offensive cast hasn't always been up where it needs to be. Let's just face it. And for that, he's taken a lot of criticism. DC also hasn't had the best defenses, and with a lack of weapons on the offensive side of the football and a defense that can't create turnovers outside of that 2016 season, I don't care who you are. It's hard to find success. But look, Derek Carr has been putting in serious work. I love where Derek Carr is at in this point of his career. You know what I mean? I feel like he's kind of toughened up with the media, and that's not to say that he's ever weak, but he was more sensitive to the media than what he is now, and I love that he's not afraid to kind of put those guys in his place. And look, DC is going to have a remarkable season. SC says, I see. Cool setup. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, brother. Trying to watch Ray and Andy's live shows at the same time. Oh, I didn't realize he was live. That's probably why we're a little low tonight, but hey, I'm not going to keep you guys from going and watching Andy's stuff. Andy's a phenomenal content creator, man. And I appreciate that gentleman. He's good at his craft, and he's continuing to work, man. We're just constantly trying to grow. So, look, back to Raiders football, man. When I was watching these clips and breaking down this wide receiver room, I know that the pads haven't come on, but there's two players that really stood out. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't Matt Collins. It wasn't Tyron Johnson. It wasn't those essential group of guys that we went and got. It was Isaiah Zuber, right? And he's wearing the number 89. He's wearing Brian Edwards' last jersey. And this guy in warm-ups, bro, I mean, he's just hitting a different gear. Like, this guy's working. This is one of those former Patriots that Josh McDaniels went out and signed here recently. And, man, this guy came in and he's working. And I like that, man. So this is going to be a guy I'm going to keep an eye on as well. Let's see what happens when the pads come on. Let's see if he can do this against maybe the starting lineup when they get a rotation going at that wide receiver 2 spot. Keep your eyes on Isaiah Zuber. The guy moved really well. Auntie Six says, what's up, Ray? How you doing, brother? How's the family? The family is doing great, man. My wife is doing good. We got ultrasound photos of the baby, which is really cool. It's crazy. She's still pretty early on, man. I think we're at, man, what are we at? Like 2 months, 3 months? And they already did a 3D ultrasound and got pictures of the baby. And I don't know what gender it is yet, but I'll keep you guys updated. But, yeah, man, we're doing good, man. Went and cleaned the church today. Getting everything set up for tomorrow. So everything's good, brother. I hope everything is well with you guys. We'll open up the lines here later, man. And Auntie, if you want to come on and talk Raiders football, man, we could do that. James Furbo says, congrats. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, James, we were on I think it was Wasted Live, bro. I was in the comments, and you had made a comment, it might not even been directed toward me, but you were like, Sue is Ray. What did you mean by that, bro? Because I'm not happy with Sue right now. I'm not happy with that gentleman. So another guy, man, in the wide receiver room. The wide receiver room, number 18, man, Jordan Veazey. Now, you guys may know this is the guy who's the workout partner with Colin Kaepernick. Another guy who's just killing it when it came to running routes and when it came to doing the drills. This is a guy who's just running every route at 110%. Looks big out there. I mean, I thought Keelan Cole was decently large. We really have a lot of large wide receivers. So everybody talking about we need a red zone threat, we got a slew of them. So that means, guess what? Not all of them are going to make the roster. That's what that means. And I like to hear about that Mac Hollins mile. Did you guys hear about Foster Moreau talking about that? The Mac Hollins mile, where everybody's going out and it's a really extensive mile run and they got to do different things. And that was interesting. I like that Mac Hollins is making a working environment, something to push these guys and get these guys better. I love that, bro. I absolutely love that. Snoop Hernandez says, what do you think about the linebacker room? I'll say this. It's got more depth than it's had in recent history. I'll say that. I like Denzel Perryman. I really am high on Jayon Brown as a cover linebacker. I think on third down, you have a real opportunity to create a sense of coverage linebackers that we haven't got to see in times past. You're talking about a Divine Diablo who's really emerged as of late, a guy who's not afraid to get his head down in the run game, plays bigger than what he actually is. You got a guy like Jayon Brown, a guy who's really blanketed wide receivers like Juju Smith-Schuster. You get an established veteran linebacker in Denzel Perryman, who's really aggressive and tenacious when it comes to run defense, a leader of the defense, gets guys aligned in the right positions, just as a true pros pro and really likes being a member of the Raiders. I like the linebacker room. I do. You got guys like Kyle Fackrell, Kenny Young, Darius Butler is a guy that, look, he got the first pick of training camp. This is a young guy who plays with a lot of juice, a lot of swagger. Look, when it comes to the linebacker room, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm not going to say it's an elite unit by any stretch of the matter, but I do think it's a unit that has been an emphasis in this offseason, and they've created a lot of good depth. So that's what I think about this linebacker unit, man. Congrats, brother. He said, I don't remember, but my bad. It must have been an autocorrector mistake. Nothing to you, bro. Okay, good. I was about to say, I was like, James, if you're saying I'm the Sue of Raider Nation, brother, we're going to have a problem. And I'm going to have to address you. So I had to almost pull out my DC and be like, bro, you need to pump your brakes. I'm just kidding, brother. I knew you didn't mean nothing by it. What's up with the Meek Robinson? Look, Meek Robinson is one of those guys that got a lot of buzz in OTAs, right? And look, I'm going to state it because I'm going to say what I think what it really is they're going to see what they got in a Meek, and they're going to put him at all positions. So in OTAs, they wanted to get practice film leading up to training camp, and they put him on the outside and see what he competed like going against the ones, going against Devontae, going against Hunter. How does he line up with these starting offense? And the Raiders want to see, is he better in the slot? Is he better outside in the scheme? My personal opinion, I think what benefits a Meek Robertson is his work ethic. I mean, he's not afraid to put his hard hat on every day, and he's just a dog when it comes to practice and working out. And I think that coaching staff really likes that. I think that they can do a lot with a player like that. If Patrick Graham decides to keep 7 defensive backs, he has a shot. He has a shot to be that 7th guy. But look, he's got a lot of veterans in front of him. And the guy that we just signed, Ike Brown, that's a guy who's coming in, and he's got a little chip on his shoulder too. I mean, this guy's going to that back end of the roster. These guys are going to really have to earn it, bro. So Cravon LeBlanc is a guy that I could see beating out Amik. He just has more experience. He's an aggressive tackler. He's played both man and zone coverage schemes. He's a veteran in the game. A guy like Darius Phillips has really emerged as of late for the Bengals when they had injuries at that defensive back position. Anthony Averett, same thing, really rose to the occasion for the Baltimore Ravens and established himself as a true starter. It's going to be a tough room. I like Amik's fight. I loved Amik coming out of LA Tech. I thought he just plays with a type of swagger, a type of juice. I just didn't see it translate to the field that much, bro. And the problem is the guys at this next level are too big. They're too big. They're too good of route runners. They're almost too fast. And That's not to say that Amik can't have a good NFL career, because look, I think that he could. Hopefully it's with the Raiders, right? That's what we hope. And hopefully the scheme change and the secondary coach and Patrick Graham can really get the best out of Amik. But that's to be seen. Amik's got to earn it this season, bro. Amik James has to come in and earn it. So that's what I feel about the Amik Roberts situation. All eyes on G started laughing. Yeah, bro, I about had to press you, James. I'm about to call you Paul Gutierrez. I'm about to change your name on here. But yeah, man, pads come on next week, and I know that we might have a little light show tonight. I didn't realize Andy was going on, so I apologize that if you guys are missing his live show as well. But pads come on next week, and I'm super intrigued to see this offensive line go against this defensive line, without a shadow of a doubt. I want to see these guys up front get physical, get nasty. I want to see what we got in some of these young guys. I want to see Lester Cotton get his hands on people. You know what I mean? I want to see John Simpson develop. I want to see a guy like Bam Solene. What does he look like at that backup right tackle spot? You know, there's just a lot of questions, man. And on the defensive line front, I want to see Chandler Jones in action. I want to see Neil Farrell and Matthew Butler get penetration, to get guys up front, man. I want to see Matthew Butler to be able to step up in a role that we need, right? We're really beat up at the defensive line position right now. Can Matthew Butler step up and be a nasty disruptive force like he was with Tennessee last season? That's to be seen, bro. That's to be seen. So look, I'm gonna open up you guys for questions, man. If there's anything that you have regarding this week, anything that happened in training camp that you guys got some questions about, drop it down below and let me know. And I'll be more than happy to address your guys' question, man. And if anybody's wanting to come onto the show, drop it down in the chat that you guys want to talk, and I'll have you guys on. And we won't let this live show go on too long. But I just want to address week 1 training camp, man, and answer all your guys' questions. So everybody in the chat, man, if you haven't went and liked the button, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, start talking down below. I know, bro, Snoop. I said pause, man. As soon as I said penetration, I got the pent part out, and I was like, oh, bro, I done set myself up. So yeah, man, you guys ask away, man. Snoop, you got any questions? James, you got any questions? AllEyesOnG.com, man. You got any questions? Auntie, you got questions, man? You guys drop them down below. And my questions are out to you guys, man. What's your biggest concern going into training camp? I mean, look, the right tackle position, is that the problem? Is it the guard position? How do you guys feel about the secondary units, man? Let me know down in the comments section below what your guys' biggest concern is. And we're going to address it, man. We're going to talk all things Raiders. And I appreciate everybody that decided to pull up tonight, man, spending some time on your Saturday with me. I appreciate it, even with Andy going live. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm telling you what, all this news about Robert Quinn wanting out of Chicago, now that's an interesting conversation that we can have. If Robert Quinn really wants to get out of Chicago, this is a guy who had 18.5 sacks last season. Do the Raiders go out and make a move? All this talk about moving on from Cleve Farrell. What do you think about sending a Cleve Farrell and a late round draft pick over to grab a guy like Robert Quinn? And then you can get real creative in the 3-4 unit. You could have Malcolm Koontz, Chandler Jones at defensive end. You could have Crosby and Robert Quinn as outside linebackers, or you can mix it up however you want, right? You can have you can have Max Crosby at defensive end, Malcolm Koontz at defensive end, and have Quinn and Jones lined up. I mean, bro, you could just do a lot. Florida Boy says, right side of the O-line is still a worry for me until proven otherwise. And respectfully so. I mean, look, I can't say that I'm not going to say that I'm worried. I would say, what's a good word for it? I would say that I'm cautionally opportunistic about the development of Alex Leatherwood. I mean, Florida Boy, I bet you can go back and remember Colton Miller, his rookie season. I mean, it was bad. It was a really, really bad rookie season for Colton Miller, but he developed and come along, and fast forward 4 years, you're talking about one of the more premier left tackles in all of football. Coming out of Alabama, Alex Leatherwood is one of those guys who shows up and works. He doesn't say much. He's a grinder. And I think that Alex Leatherwood under Coach Priscilla, look, Tom Cable, every time he goes to a new organization, he finds early success. And that's what he did again with the Raiders. He found early success in those early years and really did something good, created a good line up front. But as years go on, it always tends to fizzle out for Tom Cable, and it happened again. Coach Priscilla is a guy who takes guys who aren't necessarily known and plugs them into a starting lineup, and guys are serviceable starters. When you get a guy with the talent of an Alex Leatherwood, has all the measurables, all the size, all the length, played with really good technique out of Alabama. Now he does need to get his punch needs to get a lot better, and I think as his punch develops and he gets more aggressive as a right tackle, especially when it comes to pass blocking, you're going to see Alex Leatherwood really develop. So the right side, as long as Denzel Good is there, Florida boy, I think Alex Leatherwood will be okay. You can always put a guy like Foster Moreau, who's an underrated blocker. You can put him on that right side, help him chip and help Alex Leatherwood, and then you got an established veteran like Denzel Good next to him. I like his development. You know what I mean? I like where Alex Leatherwood is projected to be. All Eyes on G says DT and D line depth is my biggest concern. When it comes to edge rushers, there are guys on the roster that are a little bit sneaky. They're not clearly as talented as Max Crosby and the Chandler Jones. There is quite a drop off, but guys like Malcolm Koontz, so this is a guy who's really going to step up this year. Malcolm Koontz is going to have a really big year too, I believe. And I think that Patrick Graham's going to get him involved in the rotation. You're going to see his hand in the dirt, out of the dirt. And that's why I don't necessarily think All Eyes on G. I don't think they're done adding that to that position, which is why I think a guy like Robert Quinn is a really interesting trade candidate. I know he's going to be about $9 million towards the cap, but thankfully the Raiders have cap space, and it leaves them with the opportunity to continue and re-sign Waller. You go and bring in a Quinn, and you're talking about one of the more formidable fronts in all of football. Honestly, I like Robert Quinn more than Ndamukong Suh at this point. I think you can go out and get a defensive tackle that maybe gets cut from another roster, or a guy that's on an open market right now, or maybe give up a late round draft pick and go get a guy who's depth on another roster. And I think that we can be okay at that nose tech. Guys like Neil Farrell, I'm not necessarily worried about the Jonathan Hankins injury as much. And if you guys have followed this channel, you know how I feel about him. I think that Jonathan Hankins is replaceable. I think he does offer you good run defense, obviously, but in recent years, he's kind of fallen off. He's a one-trick pony. Neil Farrell's just younger, bigger, faster, offers you more when it comes to pass rush. He graded out as the #1 run defender in the entire nation last year for LSU. Neil Farrell Jr. is the Jonathan Hankins replacement, and putting him into the starting lineup, maybe forcing him into a position, it might actually bode well for the Raiders. That's where I'm at with that. But as far as the Bilal Nichols situation, I'm kind of worried about that. You know, if we can't have Bilal Nichols until week 5, that's actually going to be a big hit to this Raiders defense, especially on the interior, which is why, going back to what I was addressing earlier, Matthew Butler might have to be a guy who really steps up for the Raiders. This might be a position where the young guys do have to step up, and you do have to start those younger rookies and ask a lot of them right off the bat. I mean, but with guys like that, man, I just think it might be the best case situation for them. Maybe this is how it's supposed to be, and you give these guys an opportunity and they run with it, and they become a core foundation piece of your defensive line. But I feel you, bro. I'm my biggest concern right now on the entire roster is the defensive line. We need to create a little bit more depth on the interior, and I think the edge rush unit, we're not done addressing that. In my opinion, both sides of the trenches are suspicious to me until the season ends. What's your opinion on D and offense? What are we missing? Offensive side of the football, I'd like to see him go out and grab another veteran, maybe a guy like a Riley Reef. He has struggled with injuries, but when he does start, I'm not looking for a guy to come in and be a starter. I'm looking for a good veteran depth piece to help these guys develop a little bit. I want to go and get a little bit more established players when it comes to up front, because especially since we just waived a guard this last week, I just don't think you can have enough guys right now at this point in camp. I think you go out and get whatever you need to make your roster as good as possible. The defensive line, same thing. You need to go out and create a sense of depth, whether that's going and grabbing guys that are on the open market right now and taking a shot on them. We'll see, man. We're going to see. But yeah, James, that's where I'm kind of at with it, is both sides of the trenches are suspicious to me until the season gets going. I won't say until season's in. I think these guys are going to – look, they're learning a defense for the first time, bro. there's going to be a lot of moving parts. There's going to be a lot, and the system's not as simple as Gus Bradley's was last year. I would really like to see Darius Philon get an opportunity. I don't know if he's healthy. That's a serious injury that Darius Philon had. And look, I'm all for Darius Philon. I love him as a Raider. I think he was our best defensive tackle on the interior last season. I'm just going to say it. But that's a huge, huge injury that he has. And you're going to have to address that. And I'm hoping as training camp goes on, you guys, and these teams start making roster cuts, I'm hoping that we can land somebody who's a serviceable starter who can contribute right away. I'm more concerned about the defensive tackle and secondary. It seems to be the theme of tonight, right? Everybody's concerned about the defensive line and the secondary. The secondary, I'm not so concerned about. You got a lot of veterans, guys. There's not a lot of young guys in that defensive back room. I know that Tyree Gillespie, Trayvon Merrick, you could even maybe throw Jonathan Abram in there. I know those guys are young. Mullen is an established starter. I mean, he knows what it takes to be in the league now. Nate Hobbs, he wasn't like that developmental guy. He stepped into the National Football League, and he had better NFL success than he had collegiate success. Let's just be honest. And this roster's kind of filled with those guys. You look at Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, Nate Hobbs. You take a look at some of these guys, and they have better NFL careers than they did collegiate careers. And that was the case for Nate Hobbs. So, the secondary, these guys are just going to have to learn a lot of chemistry. They're going to have to get a lot of reps in training camp, and you're going to have to see which fits are better. Is Anthony Avery a nickel? Is Anthony Avery a guy you're going to want to play outside? Are you going to want all these guys to be interchangeable? Do you want Nate Hobbs to be able to kick outside and inside? I stated earlier in the live, look, I wouldn't mind Nate Hobbs kicking out to the outside in this scheme specifically, especially if Trayvon Mullen's a no-go. You need your best cover corners out there, and I want our best cover guy on the best receiver. So I think Nate Hobbs is going to be one of those chess piece matchup type of players where if your best wide receiver is in the slot, Nate Hobbs is getting kicked into the slot. If your best wide receiver is on the outside, you're gonna put Nate Hobbs out there to cover the best wide receiver. And I like that. So as far as the secondary is concerned, man, I have more optimism for the secondary than I do the defensive line right now, just because there's a lot more experience on the outside. Florida Boy says, but didn't Miller have a torn ligament his rookie year? He did have an injury, but it wasn't necessarily just the injury. There was a lot of technique issues with Colton Miller his rookie year, and even into his second year. His second year was a little bit better. He improved, but by his third year and fourth year, Colton Miller really stepped up and emerged as one of those upper echelon left tackles in all of football. All Eyes on G says, Leatherwood is a smart guy. He'll pan out, in my opinion. It's mental. 100% it's mental. Look, not many guys in the world can get thrown into a starting lineup. And this is what we were talking about earlier, about developing a roster the right way. And that's getting guys behind veteran tackles. Like if Alex Leatherwood could have sat behind an established veteran last year and really took a season to learn and to get good reps, maybe he wouldn't have had such a bad start. But asking these young guys to go in and on Monday Night Football, week one of the season, going against elite pass rushers, you're asking a lot of a kid. And not a lot of guys in the world can go in there and mentally be clear and be ready for that type of stage. Now, I do expect Alex Leatherwood to come in this season a different animal. I think you're going to see a lot better player. Skill set, hands, feet, punches, run game. Alex Leatherwood's going to develop. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be a top tackle. That's not, but it's going to be a lot better than what it was last season. Yoshi says that Alex Leatherwood is the future, and that's what we hope. That's why we took a guy like Alex Leatherwood in the first round. And I know a lot of people were like, man, why would you take Alex Leatherwood? He's such a reach in the first round. And look, I don't think people necessarily look into this the proper way. What the Raiders were doing, what John Gruden and Mike Mayock were doing, was saying, hey, look, on the open market, a right tackle is an extremely demanding position when it comes to finances. In a first-round draft pick, you get a fifth-year option. So, yeah, could they have taken Trayvon Merrick in the first round? They could have, but you typically don't want to exercise that fifth-year option on a safety. If a guy is going to work out and pan out, say you took Alex Leatherwood in the second round, you don't have that fifth-year option, which can save the franchise a little bit, especially if they're in a situation where they're like, hey, man, are we going to want to keep this guy? Are we going to not want to keep this guy? Do we keep him for one more year? So the expectation taking Alex Leatherwood in the first round was, hey, let's see if this guy pans out. And if we can nail a right tackle, then we have a fifth-year option to exercise. overall, I think it was the best move. I think people don't look into it deep enough. They don't maybe not understand the metrics, that metric side, that analytic side of it, and the business aspect to it, I should say. But taking Alex Leatherwood in the first round was a really good option because by year 5, a right tackle position takes a while to develop. You're hoping by year 5, this guy's got it, and maybe a light switch clicks, and maybe you're talking about you now have one of the better tackles in all of football, much like the situation that they found in Colton Miller. It's a very, very similar situation. All Eyes on G says facts. Koontz is going to have a lot of opportunities this year, and he is. This is a guy who should have got more burn last year. I know in Gus Bradley's scheme it might have not been the best fit, but in this system, and Patrick Graham, who blitzes a lot more, I'm looking for Malcolm Koontz to have his hand in the dirt, out of the dirt. And this guy has a bull rush, man. Coming out of the University of Buffalo, I don't know what it is with that with that school, but they really developed that one-arm bull rush really well. It's something that Khalil Mack did really well. I did a video on Malcolm Koontz. I suggest you guys, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's a film breakdown of how him and Khalil Mack compares when it comes to style. And the University of Buffalo has just done a remarkable job getting that one-arm bull rush move down, and Malcolm Koontz does it really well. Malcolm Koontz is a guy who plays with a lot of speed and a lot of power. He's one of those guys who can play with both, and he offers you a lot of pass rush technique. Now, let's see how he can develop in the run defense. But when you're talking about a pass rush specialist, when you're talking about a third down, I say you let this guy pin his ears back and get after it. And you might be talking about one of the better sack specialists emerging as years come. I'm not saying this year, but as the years go on, I think he could have a huge, huge impact for the silver and black. So all eyes on Koontz is one of the guys that I'm watching this season. He has all the talent in the world, and I absolutely love him. And when these contracts go to expire, this is one of those guys you're going to have to keep an eye on. When those Chandler Jones contracts come up in the next 3 seasons, look for Malcolm Koontz to be one of those guys by that time that you're hoping he's developed to a point that, hey, when Chandler Jones is gone and out of here, it's the Malcolm Koontz show. And this guy's had plenty of experience, and he's ready to go. Snoop says the players are putting accountability on each other, and that's how your teams get better. Without a shadow of a doubt, brother. And that's something that's been missing, right, in recent seasons, especially under the John Gruden and Mike Mayock era. It was really team-friendly. I think John Gruden really took that narrative of, oh, how is John Gruden going to fit in with these players? Is he going to be a locker room guy? And he almost went a little bit too overboard with it. I think he was a little bit too loose with the locker room. Now, when the lights came on and the cameras came on, of course, John Gruden was really good at turning it up, right, and making it seem like he's just a guy who's just coming really hard down on the roster. But coming from all the interviews from all the players, that wasn't necessarily the case. And I like that Josh McDaniels has this aura about him, and he has this resume to him that guys respect. Everybody in that locker room respects Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler with what they were able to do with the Patriots, and they know that they have a real opportunity here with the Raiders to do something similar. And that's not to even harp on the Patriot way at all. But that's just their resume, and that's the organization that they came from, and that's the success what they found. So Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, look, these are guys who command respect. They might not be very assertive guys. They might not come off as big, like, rah-rah guys. But these guys are guys, like I said earlier, man, don't take kindness for weakness. Don't take silence as a weakness. These guys mean business, and they're coming into the Raiders organization looking to find success. And I'm extremely excited about it. Look, the chat is growing, you guys. If you guys haven't yet, man, go smash the like button. It's going to allow more people to come and see the show. We're going to continue to address these comments, man. If you guys are having a good time, let me know down in the comment section below. We're going to get through these chats. If you have anything to say, drop it down in the comment section below, and we're going to continue to address it. James says, Graf said this morning that Patrick Graham will be a head coach next year, and that has concerns because especially if the team is great, it will be another DC turnover. What are we going to do for the future? Now, I don't necessarily think, look, I like Graf's take on that. That's something that I've said in times past. Patrick Graham is going to earn an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. Is it going to be as soon as next season? That's to be determined. He's going to have a lot of success with the Raiders to make that happen. I mean, you're talking Patrick Graham's going to have to come in here and post a top 12 defense that creates a lot of turnovers. I mean, it's going to have to be an extremely evident impact. Honestly, I could see Patrick Graham in here for the next 2 to 3 seasons. Two 2, I would say I'm comfortable with saying. I could see him being here this season and next season. But at the end of next season, if things grow like I think that they're going to grow, yeah, sooner or later, Patrick Graham is going to get a head coaching job in the National Football League. And it all comes down to, does he want to be a Raider? Does he like playing with Josh McDaniels? I think these guys have a good relationship. So I think Patrick Graham wanted to come here. And I think that they have aspirations to chasing a Super Bowl. So if Patrick Graham comes in here and they go to the AFC Championship game and say they fall one short of getting to the Super Bowl, I don't see Patrick Graham just up and leaving, especially if he's turned their defense around like that. I think that Patrick Graham is going to stick around, and they're going to try to get accomplished what they got accomplished. And I think it'd be better for Patrick Graham. Look, if in these next 3 seasons, let's look at this from a long-term picture, guys. In these next 3 seasons, if Patrick Graham can go and get a Super Bowl, that bodes well for him to get a good head coaching candidate, to go pretty much where he wants to go when it comes to head coaches asking him to come into their organization. If you just come in here and turn around a Raiders defense that was not very good, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, like you made a defense that wasn't good better. I just think it's better for Patrick Graham to put 2 or 3 seasons into the silver and black. He's still relatively young. Not to say that he's the youngest among head coaches to be in the NFL, but he's still a relatively young guy. Give it 3 seasons as a defensive coordinator, 2 seasons, I should say, 2 seasons as defensive coordinator, and then go out and chase a head coach opportunity, which I would love. Look, the Raiders are going to get a compensation pick if that's the case. The Raiders will get a draft capital if Patrick Graham goes out and be a head coach. So you want him to succeed. You want him to find success with the Raiders, but eventually down the road, once we hit our goals as an organization, let that guy go get a head coaching job. He's earned it. He's an extremely good coach. Avakazi says, hey, how are you, brother? I'm doing good, Avakazi. I hope you're doing well, man. I hope everything's going good. I tuned into your live earlier, man. Watch this guy play Street Fighter. Just wanted to pull up and show some support. Go and subscribe to my brother, Avakazi. He's a great guy and puts out some good content. I enjoy our conversations when we do get to have them. He says, hope you had a good day at church and that. Nice jersey. I got the black variant in my background. Yeah, no, I like this setup, man, and we could change it. So as the lives go on, man, all these colors are going to change, the pattern, it's a cool setup, man. I really like it. But yeah, this is a signed Max Crosby jersey that I got right here. The away jersey, I like it. I like it a lot. It's not too often that you get a signed jersey from your favorite defensive player, so I love my Max Crosby one. He says, I like the honeycomb lights behind you. It looks good. I appreciate that, brother. They're addressing this. He says, I'm more comfortable with 3 years if possible, but yeah, I hope he wants to play and stay for a dynasty for 4 decades. And that's the thing, man. Like, look, Patrick Graham, I think he's going to want to stay. I think they're going to create something special here. And if I'm him, I'm going to go and create something special. One last run. Go get a championship ring because it's going to create your biggest opportunities to go out and get a good organization to want to make you a head coach. You don't have to do that in 1 season. You can take time and let this be your last stint before you go and really learn from a guy like Josh McDaniels. Get under his wing for the next 3 years. You know what I mean? And learn what you can, because historically, this guy's found success. And say what you want about Josh McDaniels. Guys learn a lot from him. He's one of the best play callers in the entire NFL, and Patrick Graham really respects this guy. Learn what you can. And look, that's a big role. When you take on a head coaching job, that's a big, big role. And it's not like being a defensive coordinator. It's not like being an offensive coordinator. And we've seen that happen with Josh McDaniels his first time around as head coach. There's a lot of responsibility. Now, I think Patrick Graham can handle that, but he's got a lot of learning to do. I don't necessarily think he's ready to go right now. Take this next 3 years and learn everything you can from Josh McDaniels from his second go around. I think that would be, yep. I didn't know you can get picks from coaches as well. Yep. And if a coach is signed as you'll be able to get a compensation pick. I don't necessarily know how high it's going to be, but yeah, with the rules in place, if a minority coach does get hired, that's how it might be that, or it might be, I'm thinking of Champ Kelly. If he goes on to be general manager, you're going to get a compensation pick for that. And Champ Kelly's going to be out of this building before Patrick Graham, I think. Champ Kelly is a phenomenal guy behind the scenes, you guys. I think Champ Kelly is arguably one of the guys that's gotten a lot of this stuff behind the scenes done for the Raiders. So Champ Kelly's going to be gone probably within the next 2 seasons, if not next year, especially if the Raiders have success this year. Champ Kelly's going to be gone and going to be a GM for someone else. Pyro says, salute nation. Salute Pyro. How's the audio, you guys? Is the audio doing good? I know in times past we were having audio issues, so I went ahead, got the boomstick, got a good mic, just making sure everything is going good for your guys' experience tonight. Like I said, man, we're trying to consistently bring you guys really good content. We're trying to, and you guys, can I just say this, man? This is a shout out to everybody in the chat and to some people specifically. You guys have really helped me up my game. I mean, this has been a journey. I'm a very reserved guy, and I would have never thought that I'm going to get on camera and talk about the Raiders. But look, just something in me said, man, I want to start creating content. I want to get out there. I want to get my opinion out there, and I wanted to create a family on here. And I never would have thought that I would have been here. I never would have thought that this house would have, that in this room, it would have turned into a studio and I would have had all the support that I've had, man. You guys have just been absolutely awesome, and I can't thank you guys enough. You guys have been absolutely remarkable. All Eyes on G says, Josh Jacobs' weakest season in yards last year, 800 and change. You guys think he gets more than that this year? And All Eyes on G, look, he has a real opportunity this season, much more than last season. He was viewed as one of the Raiders' biggest offensive weapons because they just didn't necessarily have a lot of weapons. So they would stack the boxes on Josh Jacobs and force the Raiders to run it. And that's just the fact of the matter. Now that you got all these weapons on the outside of this offense, guys like Devontae and Hunter and Waller and Moreau, it's going to free a lot up. If anybody's more excited this offseason with what the Raiders have done, it should be Josh Jacobs. I mean, you're switching to a scheme that I think benefits him. You allocated a lot of weapons and a lot of attention to the outside of this offense, which benefits Josh Jacobs. You bring in guys that are pass catching backs, guys like Brandon Bolden, Kenyon Drake in the offense. Josh Jacobs has a real opportunity. And you've seen what Josh McDaniels did with a Ramondre Stevenson. I think in the red zone, you're going to see Josh Jacobs have a huge season. You're going to spread these defenses out wide, you guys. You're going to line up these weapons on the outside and spread out these defenses. And you can really pound it down the throats of these guys with Josh Jacobs. So look for the red zone. I think his red zone efficiency is going to go way up. So that's something I would look forward to. I do believe he could have more than 800 yards. I am curious to see how much of a committee this running back room is going to be. I don't necessarily think that Zeus needs to – if Kenyon Drake is healthy week 1, you're going to see him and Josh split a lot of reps just because Kenyon Drake has 1,500 career receiving yards, 7 to 8 touchdowns when it comes to receiving the football. So that's a weapon that Josh McDaniels is going to want to utilize. Guys like Brandon Bolden, who knows the playbook, is another receiving option. You just have depth. And I've said it before. You got Josh Jacobs, and the insurance for Josh Jacobs is Zeus. It's Zamir White. 2 type of power backs. Then you got a Kenyon Drake, an elusive runner who can hit the tackles hard, can really run stretch zone plays, really good receiving back out of the backfield. And his insurance policy is a guy like Brandon Bolden. So they've really designed this running back room to have a lot of depth. Then you got a guy like Amir Abdullah. Last year, Josh McDaniels carried 6 runners into the season for the Patriots. Now, I don't necessarily think that's what's going to happen this season. I could see probably 4 runners and a fullback, so you're carrying 5 total. But look, if they want to keep another guy, look for Amir Abdullah. This guy's going to have a big preseason. He's going to get a lot of reps, and he stood out in a big way for the Minnesota Vikings. This is a guy they didn't want to get rid of. So we're going to see, man. We're going to see. I'm going to address the chat real quick. Yo, what's good? Salute to my huge big bro, Raider Ray. How are you doing? Anthony Estrada, you have been so faithful to this show, bro. I appreciate you more than you know. You have been completely kind to me. I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing better than what I deserve, bro. So take care. Take care, brother. I appreciate you pulling up. Pyro, salute Raiders. Audio and video is on point. I appreciate you, Pyro, man. I'm so thankful that this has come a long way, you guys. Like I said earlier, man, from a cell phone in my car to now a created studio and bringing you guys live shows, man. We've come a long way in only 3 months. You guys got to remember, this channel's 3 months old, really. I mean, I posted videos a while back, but it was nothing like I'm out here creating content. And now I'm out here creating content. And, man, we've just grown so much in 3 months. I'm blown away that we're plus 600 subscribers. And really, we got that in a 2-month span. So it's been phenomenal, man. I appreciate everybody that's in here. Salute Anthony. Salute Pyro. All Eyes on G says 100. I think the zone blocking scheme is going to help Josh Jacobs also. And look, the zone blocking scheme's what we were running last season. And Josh McDaniels is going to mix it up. If your defensive front lacks against mobile offensive linemen that can cut and create corners, look for the zone blocking scheme to be implemented that week. But if you're trying to get back to the old fundamental Raiders football, it's smash mouth power football, pulling guards and going north, not going east and west anymore. We're going to go north on you, and we're going to put the big boys up front, and we're going to see who's bigger and badder. And that's what I like. I like that about the Raiders organization. I love when we play power running football. It's just always suited the Raiders organization the best. Put your mouthpiece in, put your helmet on, line up man to man, and let's see who the bigger, badder fronts are. Now, my biggest concern about that is Andre James built for this power gap scheme? And is your depth behind him built for it? I don't necessarily think Dylan Parham yet is ready for that. I don't know if that he can reset the line of scrimmage and get up into the backfield. I'm curious to see. Andre James is now 300 pounds. Is he going to be able to get up into the second level and just be more of a mauler? Can Alex Leatherwood? Alex Leatherwood is more fit for that power gap scheme. Now you have a left tackle who's built for the finesse type of pass blocking. Left tackle position, he's a zone blocker. Colton Miller is a zone blocker. I'm hoping that he can develop as a power pass protector. That's to be seen. I don't hear nobody really talking about that. Now, I know that he's developed enough that he's ready to go. I think Colton Miller is going to be just fine, and I think he's going to have a really big season. But let's see, man. A guy like John Simpson is going to really have an opportunity to thrive in this power gap scheme as well. So I think you're right, All Eyes on G. I think the transition of this offensive lineup, this offensive scheme is going to benefit Josh Jacobs. And really, it's having less guys clustered in the box when you're going up against a defense. It was Josh Jacobs versus, the front seven. Let's just face it. Let's keep it a buck. That's what it was. You're not going to necessarily see that as much this season. So Josh Jacobs is going to benefit. Anthony Strauss says, dude, I don't think you know how excited I am for like 50 or 60 days until regular season starts. I've never been too hyped up for a Raiders season. And I'm so hyped that I'm calm. I'm so excited for Raiders football to kick off. And I haven't been this excited about an off season ever. This is the best off season I've ever seen as a Raiders fan. And I am so fired up about it. And I'm calm. I'm enjoying this entire process. I'm enjoying that pads are coming on in training camp next week. I'm happy to hear and see what this defensive line and what this secondary and these offensive guys look like going against each other in 11 on 11. I'm excited for the Patriots joint practice. I'm excited for the Hall of Fame preseason game so I can finally get back to watching film that isn't old film and questioning if these guys can develop techniques. I'm looking forward to seeing who is going to make this roster, and it's coming very, very soon. So look, you guys, the Hall of Fame game, I'm super stoked. If you guys would like a live show reaction, let me know. Maybe I can go live and we can watch the game live together since it is a preseason game. And maybe we can talk about some things that we're seeing as the game is going. And as we're watching in the game together, maybe we can pick up on some things. Maybe highlight some guys that we think is going to make the roster. Guys who are standing out to us on film. Guys who are creating an opportunity to make a roster spot, right? And that's what this is all about this time of year. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. If that's something that you guys would like to do, maybe we can do a live preseason show. And as I'm watching the game live in here in the studio, man, maybe we can address things that are standing out. I would love to do that, man. I would love to address that with you. We think we're ready for a Super Bowl every year. Yeah. And look, I'm one of those cover guys that look. I'm a realistic man. I didn't think we were going to go to the Super Bowl last year. I didn't think we were going to go to the Super Bowl the year prior. I thought the best chance of it was obviously in 2016. And that's just when I felt the vibe of the season, especially when we set the tone that week 1 game against the Saints. That's when I was like, okay, this team's different and they're really finding their groove. Derek Carr's got a real chemistry with Michael Crabtree. That was the last time I felt like, okay, we have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and it ended up being a really successful season. I would say this year we have a real opportunity to punch our ticket into the postseason, and I'm going to stop there. When we punch our ticket into the postseason, that's when anything can happen. And I think that this roster is built now. Granted, this team has to stay healthy. This team has to stay healthy. If the Raiders don't stay healthy, don't expect much. And that's just the matter of fact. Like, if the Raiders can go in with a healthy wide receiver core, a healthy offensive line, healthy defensive line, the secondary doesn't get too beat up, then I like it. Then I like our chances. I don't see too many teams, man. Right now, I'm not even necessarily that scared of Buffalo. I think the Raiders can move the ball on the Buffalo Bills. I think we're going to have a lot of success against the Chiefs finally. But we have to go out there and earn it. I'm not going to be one of those guys that say, oh, the Raiders are in right now and they're going to be making a Super Bowl run. And for the next 10 years, the Raiders are just going to be great and elite. I'm not going to even go that far, man. You got to prove it each and every single year. That's the National Football League. The Raiders have to show up this season and earn it this year, week by week. You take anybody for granted. How many times have we seen it as Raider fans? You take a team for granted and they'll come in there and smack you around. You're losing the teams that you shouldn't be losing to. How many times have we seen that? So the Raiders need to show up this year, take it week by week, stay healthy, believe what they've been doing this entire offseason. Continue to build on the momentum that started back in really February, January. So I'm excited, man. It looks like the chat is pulling up, man. If you guys haven't yet, go smash the like buttons, man. It looks like more people are pulling up. The show's getting better as it goes on. We're going to have more opinions tuning in. So go smash that like button and come back to the chat. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, man, let's constantly grow this thing. Without you guys, I can't do anything. So Anthony says, we're going to shock the media and sports so badly. Stephen A. Smith is going to fall out of his chair. Stephen A. Smith is still going to find a way to talk about this team in a negative light. He's still going to find things. Oh, Josh McDaniels is the NFL golden child. And of course, they want him to have success. And they're going to find every single excuse to put the Raiders under the mud. And I'm okay with it. Let Stephen A. Smith talk about us. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to go out there and win football games. That's what I care about. James says, like McDonald's, I'm loving it. I'm loving it too, man. Whatever they got going on in Las Vegas, man, it's unique. It's special. And I'm loving every single moment of it. Ben Bad says, salute, Ray. What is going on, Ben? If you're not subscribed to the channel, man, subscribe to the channel. Continue to pull up and support this, man. I'm truly grateful for everybody that comes in here. Ben Bad says, salute to the chat. James says, salute, Ben. Van City Raiders. What is good, Ray? What is good, Van City? I hope the wife is doing good, man. Hope your family's doing well. We're doing good over here, brother. I'm more blessed than what I deserve, and that's just straight facts. I think a lot of fans are falling for the hype a little too much. We look great on paper, but it still needs to be proven. And this, if I could make this the pinned comment of the night, this would be it. So shout out to you, All Eyes on G, because I've been saying it this entire offseason. I know everybody in the media. I know we like to talk about this dynasty, and I love OG. OG says it a lot. He says we're creating a dynasty, and he's been around a long time. He's been around a long time, and he's seen the golden years of the Raiders, and if he feels that we're heading in that direction, then I love it, right? But I need them to prove it. On paper, we're paper champs of the offseason. That don't mean nothing. That paper gets crumpled up and thrown out the window as soon as the game starts and somebody comes and smacks you in the mouth. The Raiders need to go out there and prove it this season, man. We need to show the world that, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, Raiders are Super Bowl contenders right away. The future dynasty is created. To create a dynasty, there's a lot of work that gets put in, a lot of hours, a lot of things behind the scenes, a lot of things that not even necessarily the greatest talent, but teamwork, chemistry, scheme fits, hitting at the right time, the team firing on all cylinders. I mean, there's so much that goes into creating a dynasty from the top of the organization down to the bottom, down to the guy who's the water boy. And I don't think people realize that. All the way from the top as Mark Davis, all the way down to the water boy, to the equipment guys that clean the weight equipment. This entire staff needs to be all in to see the Raiders get another Lombardi trophy and add the 4th Super Bowl. So there's a lot that needs to be done, man. There's a lot of hype this offseason, and where there's a lot of hype, I start to hesitate and I start to back off a little bit. So I'm just like you, all eyes on G. I need them to go out there and prove it. And I think that they're willing to do that. They're not buying into the talk. What's good about this situation, all eyes, is that the fans are buying into it. The players are not. The players realize we got a lot of work to do because this hype has created such a standard throughout that organization. These players know that they got a lot to live up to, and a lot of eyes are going to be on them. So I love that take, brother. If I could make that the pinned comment, I really, really would. Anthony Provencio, man, thank you for pulling up. I appreciate you pulling up to the live show, brother. Egalitarian says, what's up, Raider Ray? What is going on, Egalitarian? I'm glad that you decided to pull up, man. I know Andy was having a show. I did not mean to go live. I didn't know he was doing a live show tonight, so that is my apologies. I would have scheduled this a lot better. Anthony says, Raider Nation for life. That is without a fact. The more SS talks about us, the dumber he'll look. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm not even worried about those guys. To be honest with you guys, I don't even watch it. I don't watch any of the junk. I watch no national media narrative. I support some Raider content creators and like to hear their opinion because a lot of us differ in a lot of ways, respectfully. But I think you guys have one of the best fan bases that you guys are blessed with, guys who have followed this team long enough that you guys are getting better inside content, inside source material, following your favorite Raider content creators than you do with the national media narrative. And thankfully for you, us content creators are putting out pretty good material for you guys, man. And I always call it the Raiders paradigm. I think that's what I want to call this new live show, is the Raiders paradigm, because all of us uniquely can look at one team and come away with different viewpoints. We all could see this roster in a different way. And that's what makes conversations like this so unique. That's why I wanted to create a podcast type of experience where everybody has a voice here and I could get viewpoints from everybody and see how they view the roster. And it really creates good conversation, and it forces you to see the roster in a way that maybe you weren't looking at it. And what it does is it strengthens this fan base to be more educated and to look at things from a realistic perspective and not so much of an overhyped, blown up media perspective. And that's what I've really tried to bring to the content creator space, is to create a creative avenue for people to see a realistic viewpoint of this roster and get a highly, not to say that I know all things. I don't. I'm not an expert at all things, but I would like to say that I have a decent understanding of these schemes and what the Raiders are trying to do and techniques and skill traits that these players have and what they can bring to the Raiders. And I think all that does is it sharpens Raider Nation. So that's really what I like to do a lot of this for, man. And I love that you guys pull up. Van City says, just got back from Seattle. I'm so excited for November. You and I both, brother. I mean, it could not coming any faster. Ray, who's your starting strong safety? Deron Harmon. Deron Harmon is my star. I was making sure I didn't go mute there. Deron Harmon. I think this guy's a vet. At this point, look, Jonathan Abram is a liability when it comes to coverage. Unless he's developed dramatically this offseason, that's to be seen. But for right now, you guys, Deron Harmon is my starting strong safety, and I want that veteran presence, a guy who can create turnovers next to Trayvon Merritt. And I think that you're talking about a really good safety duo. Deron Harmon's bringing a lot to this organization. He's just a winning type of safety, a guy who's opportunistic, really can go out and get the football and create turnovers, which is what this defense needs. So, yeah, Deron Harmon is my starting strong safety. Jonathan Abram is a guy I want to kick down in the box. I want him to get deployed. Patrick Graham, he's in the top of the league when it comes to blitzing. I want to see Jonathan Abram get involved more when it comes to getting after the quarterback. I think in the small amount of times that we've seen him do it, he's had success. So get him utilized behind the line of scrimmage a lot more. Get a guy that can almost play a hybrid linebacker role. Get him into the run defense, sniffing out screen plays, sniffing out trick plays. He does that remarkably well. I did a film session about that as well. If you guys haven't, go check that out. That's how he should be utilized. In the box more disruptive behind the line of scrimmage and not asked to cover as much. So Deron Harmon is my starting strong safety, brother. I ask everyone all the time. Yeah. Who's your number one backup to Mad Smack? Malcolm Koontz. And it's not even close. Malcolm Koontz is the best pass rusher behind Chandler Jones and Max Crosby that this team has, and a lot of people are recognizing it. Not fan base wise, but guys within the organization, they have a lot of high praises to say about Malcolm Koontz. And I've been preaching it all offseason, man. I've been preaching Malcolm Koontz to Raider Nation this entire offseason. So Malcolm Koontz, brother, that's who I am looking forward. And he's going to get a lot of burn. He's going to get a lot of reps. So look out for Malcolm Koontz. It's not about the paper for me. It's about how the team's gelling and nobody has the cool look they want to be here. I agree 100%, man. This team, I said it at the top of the show, is that there's something going on in Vegas that's different. There's a vibe going on in that building that just we haven't seen in times past. And this team is coming together like a real team. There's a real chemistry being developed, and I think you can feel it inside and outside of the building. I haven't felt this way as a fan, as a guy covering this team ever. It's just this offseason's been remarkable. Now it has to translate onto the field. These guys, where you're going to find the successes in these coming weeks that we're living in right now, the present moment that we're living in. Can these guys gel on the field and develop a real rapport with each other? That's what's to be seen. That's what I'm desiring to see. Facts Ray OG always saying he saw a dynasty, and I'm super hyped for yeah. And look, I told you he's been around for a long time, and I love OG. I really do. I love that brother. He gave me my first opportunity on a live show. A lot of people don't know that. That guy's seen something in me and always builded me up, and OG is special. He says he sees a dynasty, so if he says he sees a dynasty and he hasn't been saying this for years, then I'm gonna sit back and watch, man. If he says he sees a dynasty coming, I'm gonna go grab my bag of popcorn and sit back and relax. I'm not gonna say it's a dynasty yet. I'm gonna say they have an opportunity to work towards a dynasty, but there's just a lot of work that has to go in, man. All Eyes on G says 100. Anthony says, who's your number one backup, Max? I just addressed that to you, bro. The Silver and Black Report says, hey, what's going on in the Silver and Black Report? Anybody that's not subscribed to them, man, go over to their channel and subscribe. I'm always going to show love and support to Raiders content creators. So go over there, man, and show some love to Silver and Black Report. Who's the best defensive end coming off the edge of Max and Chandler? Malcolm Koontz. Fan City Raider agrees with me right here. He says Malcolm Koontz as well. All Eyes says Koontz is going to eat, and I can't disagree with that. Koontz is going to be the biggest. He's going to be the biggest addition when it comes to this pass rush. He's going to have a big year. I really wouldn't be surprised to see Malcolm Koontz go in there and have 6 to 8 sacks. I just think that Patrick Graham is going to deploy this guy in a way that Gus Bradley wouldn't do. And I think Gus Bradley's a good football coach. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to throw eggs at Gus Bradley. He took a really bad defensive unit and made them okay. Okay, they were better than Paul Gunther. We have to give that to Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley's a respective defensive coordinator. It's just a little too predictable for me and not aggressive enough. So I'm excited to see how he decides to deploy Malcolm Koontz. Anthony says, I think Troy Polamalu is going to shock the NFL world. And look, with the releasing of Dallin Leavitt, this guy has a real opportunity now. I mean, there's a big roster spot that just opened up, which is why I'm talking about this wide receiver core as like, who are we really going to give roster spots to? In times past, there's guys making the roster that necessarily might not should have just because you didn't have the depth on the roster. Now that the Raiders have a really a deep roster that they've created this offseason, right? These roster spots are going to be really hard to come by. And if you're competing for those backup spots, you know, those last spots on the roster, something that Polamalu is really going to be working towards, he's got to have a big camp. He's got to have a really big camp because guys that have experience in the league and contribute to special teams like Roderick Teamer, a guy like Tyree Gillespie, somebody who's not getting talked about at all this offseason. So I'm kind of curious on what the coaching staff thinks about him. That's a player that I'm going to be watching in preseason as well. He might not be a fit. We'll see. But yeah, look, he's going to really have to earn a spot. And a lot of these undrafted free agent guys aren't going to make the roster. But this has been my take this entire offseason. What's unique about the undrafted free agents for the Raiders this year is when you go back in recent history with Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler and Champ Kelly, what do they do out there in New England? They have an extremely high success rate of finding UDFA guys to come in and contribute right away to the roster. And matter of fact, that's how they're able to consistently have a good football team, is that they'll get these guys on high contracts and free agency, go out and get those big name guys. But they've drafted well enough in those later rounds that once those big contracts expire, they've had a guy in development for the last 2 to 3 seasons, which is what I've been saying is look, you really have to look at these UDFA guys this year, and that these are going to be guys that could probably contribute to the Raiders right away. And when I say right away, I'm talking about potentially this year and in the years to come. These are guys like Zach Van Valkenburg, a Justin Hall out of Ball State, the Palomalu safety. I mean, there's real talent. Bam Osalene. There's some real talent that could be stashed either on a practice squad, or maybe guys could compete and maybe earn a depth piece on the roster spot. But look, with all the free agent acquisitions, the way that the Raiders have managed these contracts, in the next 3 seasons, you're in a win now mode. You're chasing a Super Bowl for the next 3 years. That's just a fact. So what I expect the Raiders to do is when the off seasons start to come, don't look for the Raiders to be big in free agency. And I know a lot of fans are going to be clamoring, why aren't the Raiders very active? Well, they spent a lot of money this offseason. They spent a lot of money this offseason, and they've developed this roster for the next 3 years to go out and to compete for a Super Bowl. So what I believe they're going to do, these next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see them try to knock these drafts out of the park. That way, when these contracts go to expire, these guys have a roster they have guys on the roster that they've drafted that have really taken time to develop in the scheme, understand the terminology, have gotten a lot of reps, maybe 2 preseason seasons, right? That's a total of 8 games. They've had 2 training camps under their belt before they're asked to go into a starting lineup. And that's how you develop a good football team. That's where the Raiders should be pushing forward to. You don't necessarily always have to be the big ticket buyer in free agency. That's not how you develop a success and a winning organization for a long period of time, right? Let these guys develop the draft now that you have the big free agent acquisitions. Take these next 2 to 3 seasons and really knock the draft out of the park. That's what I'm looking forward to. Anthony says, yes, I agree on Koontz. I'll keep asking. Matt says, I've seen the Raiders from 03 to 2014, and I've seen the improvements, and Carr leads the way. Haters are going to hate. Yeah. The Raiders organization is blessed to have a quarterback like Derek Carr. I'll say it. They're blessed to have a quarterback like Derek Carr who's been willing to put up with the mediocrity that the Raiders organization have been. Completely dysfunctional, multiple head coaches, different offensive lines, never getting a real, true, good cast of wide receivers around him. I mean, you're talking maybe at best, he had Crabtree and Cooper. That was at the peak. Those were the best weapons he had around him. And yet he's continued to stay loyal to this organization with a fan base that's been completely toxic to him, always getting ready to get rid of him in every single offseason. I'm grateful that the Raiders have had a quarterback. And if Derek Carr can go win a Super Bowl, maybe even 2 by the time he retires, you're talking about probably the greatest quarterback of Raiders history. Let's just be honest. And I love Derek Carr. Carlos is in the building, man. Raider Nation for life. He says, salute Raider Ray. Salute to you, Carlos, man. I hope you're doing well. I hope the family's doing good. Bial says, I believe. I believe too, brother. I believe too. What are we doing at defensive tackle this year? And we kind of addressed it earlier. I know a lot of people are pulling up late. Look, the Raiders aren't done adding defensive tackle. A guy like Vernon Butler, a veteran defensive tackle, man, where are you? If you're Vernon Butler, bro, where are you? This is a guy who's had problems with character concerns, work ethic concerns, had a lot of success with the Carolina Panthers when he was lined up in that 3-4 defense as a defensive end, something that he could find a similar role with here with the Raiders. He's on the non-football injury list. Like, bro, it's time to go now. I mean, training camp has started. The Raiders have guys who are beat up a little bit, and Jonathan Hankins and Bilal Nichols. Somebody needs to step up. A veteran presence needs to step up. Now, those young guys like Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler have been working. They have been putting in serious work this offseason. And I mentioned earlier that a core of the Raiders roster right now were those young guys who were asked to step up. Guys like Derek Carr, guys like Max Crosby and Hunter Renfrow and Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Merrick and Alex Leatherwood and Colton Miller. You go down the roster to the core guys, and these guys were young players who probably shouldn't have started right away. I mean, outside of Derek Carr, all of these younger guys, bro, Nate Hobbs was a guy who really had a better professional career than collegiate career. So he's one of them, but dude, these young core guys, Matthew Butler and Neil Farrell Jr. are going to have to really step up. But I do expect that the Raiders are going to go out and address the open market. I would expect it to be when other teams start releasing players from their rosters. So a little bit later in training camp, maybe some not big name guy that's on the free agent market right now. I'm not going to get into the Ndamukong Suh situation just because I don't feel too good about that situation, man. I think if he wanted to be a Raider, he's had the opportunity. I'm sure the Raiders would have signed him by now. We'll see, though. We'll see how it plays out. If Suh does sign with the Raiders, I'd love to have his services. Obviously, the Raiders need defensive interior right now. But right now that we got some people in the chat, and before I go any further, if you're in the chat, all 26 of you, go smash the like button, man. We don't ask much from you over here, man, and it just shows your love and support for the channel, and it helps other people find this live show right now, and it creates a better experience for you guys. So everybody, go smash that like button. If you are a moderator, tell everybody to go smash that like button, bro. But yeah, I'm somebody's got to step up on this interior defensive line room. That's what's going to have to happen. The Silver and Black Report says, can I join and talk some Raider football with you, man? If I open up the live, I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. If I open up the live show, if I open up the chat room, I will be more than willing to have you on, brother. I just don't know if I'm going to have anybody on tonight. We're going to see. Anthony Provencio says Super Bowl champions. And look, that's what we hope for. We got to pump the brakes, though, right? We got to let these guys go out here and compete, man. You built something special. Now go out there and earn it. Go out there and work for it. Anthony says Carr and Mahomes will be tied in Super Bowl wins after this season. And could you imagine the media narrative when you go to address that, hey, Derek Carr and Patrick Mahomes have the same Super Bowl wins? They are going to lose their mind. It is going to be like they're just going to freak out, right? How dare you compare Derek Carr to the great Patrick Mahomes? Get out of here with all that, bro. Things are changing around here for the Silver and Black. Facts. Ziegler loves diamonds in the rough. UDFAs, late round draft picks, low bargain bin free agents. The thing that's remarkable about this organization right now, you guys, I don't care if you're a first round draft pick. I don't care if you are a UDFA. I don't care if you're a high ticketed free agent. I don't care if you're a bargain bin player. Josh McDaniels is going to even search developmental leagues like the USFL. He's going to turn over every single rock to find a player that can come in and contribute to the Raiders organization. And that's what you should love. That's what you should love about this leadership that the Raiders have going on. Ray, question, bro. Can we see the Raiders versus Chargers or Chiefs in the AFC Championship? Without a shadow of a doubt, that is complete a possibility. This is going to be the most competitive, barring any injury setbacks for any of the teams in the division. This is going to be the most competitive division in all of football. And what other way as a Raider fan do you want it? Do you really want the Raiders to be good and everybody in the division to be garbage and have to hear everybody say, oh, the Raiders are just good because their division is just so garbage? When they get to the playoffs, they're going to finally play a good team. If the Raiders can come out with a winning record against this division and finish first in the AFC West, and necessarily you might have 3 playoff teams out of this division. That might be the case. So, yeah, you could see a matchup with those teams late in the offseason. So, we'll see, brother. We'll see. I would like it. Why not? Why not build that momentum going to the Super Bowl that much more by getting a win over a division rival? Anthony says, I can't wait till Carr gets 2 chips and Mahomes only has 1 and the media is still trying to say he's better than Carr. Now, you can make the argument when it comes to a talent standpoint, right? Arm strength, youth. You can make an argument that right now Patrick Mahomes just has a few elite traits that Derek doesn't have. But I like Derek Carr, man. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to take Derek Carr over Patrick Mahomes. I think that would be foolish. But I love Derek Carr, and I want nobody else to be my quarterback than Derek Carr right now. He started this thing, and I want to see him end it, and I want to see him end it with a championship. That's just facts. We got Queen Raiderette in the building. Hey, Queen, how are you doing? I hope your evening's going well. Everybody, go follow Queen on Instagram, man. On a road to 10,000. Queen, have you hit 10,000 yet? I know you were on the way there. Anyway, it's cool to see you in the chat. I'm glad that you came to support this channel. So shout out to you. Carlos says to hit that like button. All my moderators, tell them, man, go hit that like button if you guys haven't yet. Oh, hey, Queen, change your picture. Yeah, I did see that. Queen, you did change your picture. What went behind that? What went behind the picture change?
My opinion says Sue hates the Raiders, and it's facts. I mean, he's done this before in times past, which is why I've been a little frustrated with Ndamukong Suh. He gets on the NFL Network and is like, "Oh, I've been talking to Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, and I think I could really go there, bro." That was the biggest agent ploy. That is you as an agent getting your client on a big national media outlet and letting him know that teams are interested in him to get organizations to call and call up that bid to get his asking price up a little higher to make it seem like he's in a demanded market. And you could say it was a fail. I'm going to mark it off as a fail because Ndamukong Suh, nobody has reached out and gave him a call to sign him. He's not getting big money right now. So obviously he's going to be holding out a little bit. He's going to see what teams get banged up and he's going to play that route. He's he's not all in with the Raiders, bro. I'm just everybody who's holding on to that. He's not all in for the Raiders. He's all in for his bag. And hey, look, it's a business. Go get your money. But don't be using the Raiders as leverage on national media and expect us just to, you know what I'm saying? Just to expect us to just, oh, Ndamukong, we need you. We need you. I'm not begging for Sue. I'm not begging for that man. You ain't going to catch me begging for that man. I'll say good football teams add good football players. I'll say that. So if the Raiders want to go and add a good football player, let's go add a good football player. But if he's going to play this game with the Raiders organization, bro, go kick rocks. You know what I mean? Go play for the Vikings. They ain't going to do nothing. And that's no disrespect on the Vikings organization, but they're not in the position that the Raiders are in, at least not on paper. Uh-oh, Anthony's trying to shoot some game over here at Queen. I see you, Anthony. Says, all right, looking good, Queen. Queen, you got a boy chasing you down. You got to be careful. Appreciate it, Anthony. That's the Pats history. That's the Pats history week conference. Exactly. And now they've got a really, really hard division in the AFC West. My opinion, I don't think the Chiefs will make the playoffs this season. Sounds crazy, but you see, my problem with that, my opinion, is I believe in Andy Reid. You know, he's an established coach, and say what you want about the Chiefs. It's probably I don't like the Chiefs more than any other team. It's the Chiefs and the Chargers. I don't like them. I don't like any team in the division, to be honest with you. But if I had to pick two, I just really don't like those two. I don't even worry about Denver, to be honest with you. Denver puts no fear in me. The Chiefs and the Chargers don't either at this point. I feel like in times past, we've always had to live up to these teams. We've always had to convince the fan base, like, hey, Raiders have a real opportunity to beat the Chiefs. And we go out there and lose by 30 points. Now the playing field is evened out a bit. Losing Tyreek Hill will be huge for them. Losing Honey Badger is going to be huge for that defense. I just believe that in the regular season, Andy Reid does a good enough job to get his team into the postseason, but I don't think that they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. I don't believe that. Tyreek Hill was a big, big loss for them, and they're going to feel that. They're going to have to do a lot of things different offensively. So we'll see how Patrick Mahomes benefits from that. He can't close his eye and throw the ball 80 yards down the field anymore. He doesn't have that insurance blanket anymore. So we'll see how it goes. Queen says, no, not yet. I'm close, though. Just got a new logo. Thought I'd switch it up, and there's nothing wrong with that. As you can see, Queen, man, we switched some things up over here as well. We're trying to grow. I'm sure you're trying to grow, too, so I understand. Courtney Garrett, I say get Phylon back. Don't worry about Sue. And look, on this channel, I've been an advocate for Darius Phylon. Now, tearing your patella tendon, that's a big injury, Courtney. That's a big one. I mean, I'm all for Darius Phylon, bro. I hear you. I want Darius Phylon. I love that he wants to be a Raider. He loves this organization. He loves the fan base, and he got his second shot. This is one of those players that got a second opportunity, and the Raiders organization did it, and he found a home. He was arguably the best defensive interior lineman that we had all offseason in the entire year last year. Stepped up in a big way week 17 against the Chargers for that final playoff spot. Really stepped up before he got injured. I agree. And Darius Phylon shouted me out on a story on IG, man, and that was special. So I'm all in on the Darius Phylon. You can get him cheap, and he's a good football player. So I agree with you, brother. Carlos says, I trust our young defensive line in Butler and Farrell. And look, those guys have been working. We've addressed it a few times now. we've got a young defensive line room that's willing to work, and they've been working the entire offseason. So I agree. Matthew Butler is one of those guys that's going to be sneaky. Both of these guys, they really complement each other really well. You got Matthew Butler, who's a sneaky good pass rusher. Do not sleep on Matthew Butler, especially as a rookie. Neil Farrell Jr., he's going to be Jonathan Hankins' replacement. Bigger, faster, stronger, more pass rush weapons. I've said it a lot. I'm going to continue to preach that. These young cats, bro, let them pin their ears back, especially with all these veterans going down. Bilal Nichols going down. He might not be available till week 5. You don't know what you have right now, right? Let these young guys go in there and compete, man, and really earn a roster spot. We don't need Sue. We have young up-and-coming players. And Snoop, I agree 110%, man. The whole Sue narrative, I think he rode that to try to get a bag out of the Raiders, and I think it's died down pretty bad. It was a pretty epic fail on behalf of Ndamukong Suh. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see if we end up signing him or not, but I don't necessarily see it happening, bro. Not right now. Hello, Anthony. We felt bad because we swept them last year. We had to do it. Let them win a few. Facts, Queen. Talk that. Hello, all right, Queen. Sounds good. I'm glad that Cotton is finally getting a shot at maybe right guard. Fingers crossed. I was big on him as a UDFA, and I'm stoked that he might make it. And this is a guy who's really developed, right? He's come a long way. Lester Cotton is a good football player. Now, he's had a lot of development that he has to get used to. But in preseason, man, I really love what he brings when it comes to run blocking. I think he can be a mauler in the power gap scheme. So, yeah, if it takes a while for these UDFA guys to really catch on, some of them. And if Lester Cotton, it took a minute to catch on, then so be it. But right now, if the Raiders organization could benefit from the skill set that Lester Cotton has, then I'm all for it. I want to see him compete. Really, you guys, pads come on next week. The trenches are going to be where my attention is going. We can look at the value of the skill set positions, the wide receiver, the CBs. My eyes are focused on the trenches, offense and defensive side of the football. Sue's been acting weird. It's simple. If you want to be a Raider, pull up. If you don't, kick rocks. We don't need you. Straight up. And that's where I'm at with it. I think that's where a lot of nations at. At first, he's done this before, man. He's played with the feelings of Raider Nation, and I'm not about it anymore. Look, if you want to be a Raider, come be a Raider, bro. And we're going to welcome you in as family and open arms. That's if you're Ndamukong Suh, or that's if you're a guy who is on a practice squad and gets signed to the active roster. But if you want to be a Raider, I'm all for it. Guy like Darius, if you told me Darius Philon was completely healthy and those two are on the open market, I'm going to go throw Darius Philon $2 million, and I'm going to tell him to come in and compete his tail off and really mentor these young guys and to bring that same energy that he brought last year. And I'm taking Darius Philon. That's just where I'm at with it. Darius Philon is one of those guys who he's a Raider through and through. Darius Philon is a Raider, bro, and those are the guys I want on my roster. Jack Kenneth says, salute Ray into the nation. Salute to you, Jack. I hope you're doing good, brother. It's good to see you pull up in the chat. Salute, Jack. Everybody say what's going on to Jack. Jack, if you got any questions, feel free to chime in as well. Man, we've just talking about everything, man. What a time it is, right? Pads come on next week. We've got a preseason game coming up, man. We're potentially going to do a live show when that game goes live, and you guys can pull up with me. And we're just going to be discussing what we see on the film, man, what we see of these depth pieces, these guys who are really fighting to make a roster spot. There's going to be a lot of them. Guys like Justin Hall, right? There's guys like Isaiah Zuber, a guy who looked really good in warm-ups. A guy, like I said earlier, looked really good. At Jordan Veazey. I don't know if you guys checked the camps coming, the clips coming out of Raiders on YouTube. These guys, man, they're putting in work. They move fast. Now, I know the pads aren't on yet, and the pads are going to separate it, but there's a few guys that really stood out to me, man. Justin Hall, don't sleep on him. I'm glad to hear. I'll eat crow if I have to, right? Mac Hollins is developing. Mac Hollins has showed up to camp with an extremely hard work ethic. He has a guy called the Holland Mile. I love that. It reminds me of Zay Jones, right? Go out and bring in a guy that has a really high work ethic. I'm all for it, man. I hope Mac Hollins gets it, man. Bam Osolene. Backup right tackle, backup left tackle. We'll see where the cards may fall. And look, a lot of people forget, man. Hear me out on this. Trent Brown played guard in college and tackle. Okay, this is a guy that, and bam, yeah, is he going to struggle with pad height if he goes on to the interior of the guard position? You could train this guy to be a backup guard. I mean, if it talk about a mauling guard, right? 6'9", 350-pound guy. He's going to struggle with pad height a little bit, but if the coaches can get their pad levels down a little bit, you're talking about one of the meanest, nastiest looking guards in all of the National Football League. He's already the longest tackle in all of football. I'm keeping my eyes on Bam. Bam is a guy who I'm really keeping my eyes on this offseason. Not to say he's going to make the roster. I'm not going to say that because he has a lot of development to do. His technique is so raw. His stance is not very good. But if this guy can develop over the course of the preseason, I'm really excited to see what he's able to bring. Jack Kenna says, sub and hit those likes and sub. Everybody in the chat, if you guys have not yet, man, go smash that like button real quick. It takes 1 second. Go do that for fellow content creators, man. We do a lot of work to get you guys some good content out there. So please hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. We're going to get ready to wrap up the show here before too long. So everybody that wants to get their opinion out, drop them down in the comment section below, and I'm going to address all things. I know you guys are excited that pads are coming on next week, and we have a lot of things in the work. I just recorded a video today and uploaded a video today. So if you guys haven't yet, go and check that out once you get off the live. Smash the like button on it, you guys, so it spreads across YouTube algorithm. Jack says, at Ray, I love the restructure in his contract. I do too. I love that Denzel Good was able to come down a little bit. You know what I mean? Denzel Good's going to be a really good right guard for us if he can stay healthy. This is a guy who's battled injuries. But if Denzel Good, he's really found a home with the silver and black, and he's arguably played his best football with the Raiders. And once he's healthy, he's the most versatile offensive lineman that the Raiders have. The fact that he's willing to go out there and restructure his contract, I absolutely love it, man. You got Denzel Good now on a 1 year, like $1.7 million deal. It's outstanding. Anthony says, Phylon. Jack says, I'd like to see another DB that can play. What do you think? And I agree. Look, the Raiders aren't done adding talent, Jack. It's just the fact of the matter. We see that with the releasing of Dallin the vet at the very first day of training camp, and going out and getting guys even in the USFL and the developmental league. I mean, the Raiders are not going to be done adding football players, and let's see when these other teams start to release players, if the Raiders don't get aggressive, and maybe like we did with the Denzel Perryman, maybe there's a guy, a veteran player on a roster somewhere. I've got my eyes on Robert Quinn. Now that there's 19 of you guys, I want you guys to tell me, Robert Quinn wants out of Chicago. What do we have to give up to go get him? The guy had 18 and a half sacks last year. The fact of the matter is you can create probably one of the nastier front sevens. Could you imagine Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Malcolm Koontz, and a Robert Quinn? Maybe you put Crosby at defensive end, Koontz at defensive end, Chandler Jones at outside linebacker, and Quinn at outside linebacker, and as a 3-4 front. Are you kidding me? With linebackers like Divine Diablo and Denzel Perryman and Jayon Brown? Dude, I mean, the front seven that you could create, if you can go out and somehow land. Now look, he's going to cost you. He's going to cost you $9 million, but $9 million for a guy who's coming off an 18 and a half sack season with Chicago, go do it. You're in a win now period right now. Go do it. You got the draft capital. You've got and look, what if you had to give up Clee and a fourth? You give up Clee Farrell and a fourth to go out and get Robert Quinn. Why not? Why not? That's where I'm at with it. I'm looking to see if the Raiders would be willing to go pursue him. And if they are, the Raiders are going to have the elite front seven in all of football, without a shadow of doubt. That move, more so than Ndamukong Suh or Darius Philon, that move puts us over the top. That move puts this defense over the top, and it allows the secondary to come together. And yeah, you can still go out and add a secondary guy. It looked like I got a guy like that was on the practice squad for the Chargers last season who was familiar with Gus Bradley's defensive scheme, and Brandon Faison. Even an old vet like Desmond Trufant. If a guy is a scheme fit, they can come in and play good football for you. Patrick Graham has his eyes on a few DBs that are on rosters out there, and maybe these guys are on predominantly zone coverage defenses, but they excel in man coverage, and they're just in a bad scheme fit. I know that Patrick Graham has his eyes on a few defensive backs that once they're released, I'm sure he's going to target them if another organization doesn't go in and get them. So yeah, keep your eyes out on it, brother. Man, you guys really started hitting up these comments. My opinion says I'm impressed with PG so far. He is top notch, and he is top notch. But I want to see it when it comes to games when it matters. I want to see when the Raiders are up by 3 and a team is driving. Can the defense anchor down in the red zone and stop the touchdown? That's what I'm wanting to see. So I like the Patrick Graham signing. I like his philosophies. I love how he speaks. I love that he's a very good players coach. But there's a lot to go with PG. He's got to earn it from me. He's got to earn it, and I really like him. I respect him as a coach, but I have to see it on the field. I'm tired of the offseason hype. These guys got to come in here and work, and I'm putting that accountability on the coaches as well. Would love for Bam to make it. Could you imagine defensive pulling up? Like, who is that big fella? Without a doubt. I mean, 6'9", 350 pounds, Courtney. I ain't trying to go up against him. And look, where the kid is raw, he's powerful. If he gets his hands on you, good luck. That's all I got to say. And you watch it with Kayvon Thibodeau tape with Oregon. Now, there were some reps where Kayvon Thibodeau got the best of Bam, and was Bam's technique the best throughout the entirety of that game on tape? No, it wasn't. And I'm not going to sit here and say it was. But when he got his hands on you, regardless if it was Kayvon Thibodeau or their other defensive end or a blitzer, good luck. It's a wall. You can't do anything. So I'm supporting Bam. I know he's only played football. He's got a long way to go. But if he can make the practice squad or a protected practice squad, or maybe even have a huge training camp, huge preseason where he really flashes, I hope that he can make a backup roster spot. I really do. Anthony says Holland's making noise and making more noise than what I thought he was going to make. Now, granted, like I said, there's a lot of guys that this happens to every single year, right? I remember the Jerron Kreiners of the world. I mean, you go down the line at the wide receiver position of guys that in the offseason, they're like, oh, the Dylan Stoners. Remember that situation? The Keelan Doss situation. Do you guys remember that? All these guys like, oh, I'm super high on him. But dude, Mac Hollins is a good football player. Mac Hollins has an extremely high work ethic. Can he separate himself now from the pack? Can he take his skill set that he had at Miami and grow? Because he needs to grow. That's just the fact of the matter. He's got to be a better receiver for the Raiders than what he was for the Dolphins. That's a fact. Been on vacation. Bam. How was vacation, Jack? I remember that. You were on vacation. How was Maui, brother? Let me know. Quinn is a beast. I agree, Corny. Quinn would really separate this defense. He says, I would pay him $9 million. Without a shadow of a doubt. Open up. It ain't my money. That's what I love about Raider Nation, man. We're always like, oh, what about the cap? What about, bro, it ain't my money. I don't care. Go get a good football player. I've said it all offseason. Good football teams go get good football players, regardless at whatever time it is in the offseason. I don't care if it's right before the regular season. Go trade for a guy like Robert Quinn. You don't necessarily need him in here for training camp. I'm going to say that. I know a lot of you guys might be like, oh, he needs to get reps with this team. This guy's been in the league a long time. A long time. This guy knows how to play football. This is a guy you go out and you get him a helmet and pads, and you tell him to go play on Sunday. That's Robert Quinn, and he's going to go get you double-digit sets. Is it worth $9 million? Okay. We have $22 million on the books waiting. You can get Waller's deal done, and Denzel Perryman's looking for $4.5 million. You can get him done. So I don't know, and we're going to see the Denzel Perryman situation. I like Denzel Perryman a lot. Before he starts throwing stones at me, hear me out. I like Denzel Perryman a lot. Let's see how he fits in this scheme. He fit really good with the Gus Bradley scheme, which is why we went out and traded for him. He found some success. Let's see if he can translate that over to a scheme where he's going to be asked to do a lot more. So we'll see. I'm supporting Denzel. I think he's a leader. I think he's a very good football player. But we'll see. I'm more wanting to sign Waller and then maybe work on that Quinn situation before we focus on Perryman. First day of pads, baby. Yep, it's here, man. Raider football's here, you guys. We made it. We made it, baby. First day of pads is next week. I love it. I love it. People that play football know what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Separates the men from the boys. Avakazi says, hit that like button, everybody. Everybody in the chat, man, go smash that like button if you guys haven't. I don't even know where we're at. I'm not even monitoring it. I'm just having a good time enjoying some Raider football talk with you guys, my family. So as a family member, one to another, go smash that like button and show some. What is that? Keep clocking. What do you mean keep clocking, Jack? What does he mean? Only 3 likes. Hey, everybody, now it's at 34. Oh, absolutely. Chat, shout out to y'all, man. Is there anybody like Raider Nation? We go from 3 likes to 34 just like that, bro. Shout out to y'all, man. You guys show so much love, man. I appreciate it. Each and every single one of you. All of you guys are family to me. Courtney says, I'm just looking forward to guys that are actually making noise during the season, not just in OTAs. Facts. Another one of those comments that I would pin if I could, right? This is one of those comments that I would pin on top of All Eyes on G saying, look, a lot of the fan base is buying into the offseason hype. I want them to go earn it. I agree with that 110%. I'm just looking forward to guys actually making noise during the season, not just in OTAs. That is a fact. Tell everybody, Courtney, because now you're on the same page as me. I want it in the regular season. I want these guys to show up, man, and it's not just a flash in the pan when it comes to not having pads on and you're running 7-on-7 drills or 11-on-11 in practice. Now, when the game is on the line and we need a big play, I want a guy like a Darius Philon, man, to step up and make a big play, a Max Crosby to emerge, a Devontae Adams. Let's watch these guys really step up in big moments where not a lot of guys in the world can step up and make big-time plays. That's what I'm looking for, and I think that's what you're looking for too as well, Courtney. Raiders till death said, I would rather pay Waller first and Denzel Perryman. You would rather pay Denzel Perryman over a Robert Quinn? That's pretty interesting. Unique take. I can't say that I necessarily agree with it. I just think, dude, Robert Quinn in this defense with Patrick Graham and the amount that we're trying to get after the passer, Malcolm Koontz, Robert Quinn, Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. I'll take that, brother. I'll take that over Denzel Perryman getting $4.5 million a year. I'll take that. Now, I agree with the Waller situation. Waller needs paid. Waller needs a pay raise. Sorry, Ray. I'm in Maui and the Wi-Fi sucks. Okay. That's what you meant by I didn't know if I was having issues on my end, so kind of got me worried there for a second. Corny says, I just hit the like button. Shout out to you, Corny, man. And correct me if I'm wrong, Corny. Have you been on here before? If you have, you might have been on one show, and I just don't remember. I'm just grateful to have you here, man. I love the feedback that you're giving. I love the comments that you're dropping. So continue to pull up, man. I appreciate the support, the love and support. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, man. Go check out some of the content. My opinion says I don't want to see Abram disappoint this season. And he's not going to disappoint if you don't ask him to cover a lot. If you don't ask this guy to go out there and cover wide receivers and tight ends, you're going to be okay. Now, if you ask this guy to come down into the box and attack behind the line of scrimmage to get after the quarterback, to sniff out screen plays and trick plays, you're going to see a Jonathan Abram that fits in this system. But if you're asking this guy to go out there and cover wide receivers and tight ends, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. He's going to be a liability. And it's going to be a rinse and repeat process of what we've seen in recent history. So that's where I'm kind of at with it. So Raider Nation, man. Oh, man, James pulled up, man. We got to do it, man. We got to do it. Everybody in the chat, man. On the count of 3, we're going to let out a Raiders, man. And I know my wife ain't going to like this because it's getting late. But we're going to do it for my man James. He says, can I get a Raiders? So, look, on the count of 3, chat, everybody in the chat, we're going to do a Raiders, man. I want you to chant it, right? 1, 2, 3. Raiders! Man, I love it. I love it, James. I love when you bring the energy, brother. I know the chat loves it too. I say put Waller, Perryman, and Quinn in a room together and let them come out with an agreement on pay that satisfies all 3. And I think if all 3 of them sat down, I think Denzel Perryman says, I want to go win a Super Bowl. I want to go chase a championship. And in order to do that, a lot of us have to take a little bit less money because good football teams stack a roster and have guys who are team first guys, something that I think Denzel Perryman is, especially at this point of his career. I think Perryman would be willing to say, hey, I'll sit out on this contract this year. Go get Robert Quinn. I know he has said that his agent's taking care of it, but Denzel Perryman is all in on football. Okay, let Robert Quinn come in here. And look, this is just a hypothetical. I don't think Robert Quinn's going to be a Raider, but I want him to be. He wants out of Chicago, and I think it separates his defense. All offseason, we've been talking about how do we get this defense into the top 10? How do we get this defense into even the top 12? You want a top 12 defense? You want a top 10 defense? You want to compete with the move of the Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa's, and even though I think we're already there, nose to nose with them with Chandler Jones and Max Crosby and Malcolm Koontz, you want to really separate yourself from the pack? Go get Robert Quinn. Go give up draft capital. You were willing to do it with Devontae. He's an aging player. You're not going to have to give up that much. You're really not. If you want to go all in right now this season and go chase a championship, create the nastiest front seven in football, and Robert Quinn does that immediately. And Darren Waller will be all in with it. These guys are selfless guys. These aren't diva guys. You're not talking about Amari Coopers. You're not. You're talking about selfless football players. Man, James, I hope you like that, brother. Everybody in the chat, brother, saying Raiders. Anthony says, I like that, man. I like it too. Raiders. Anthony says Perryman deserves it, and he does. He had, but Anthony, this is where I want you to look at it, man. He had that familiarity with Gus Bradley, that cover 3 defense, which is why they went out and traded for him, right? In this Patrick Graham system, a 3-4, is he going to be a 3-4 linebacker? That's to be seen. Is he going to fit in this scheme? I think he can. I think he could thrive. Do I necessarily think he's going to have an all-pro season like he did last year? Let's see. I mean, there's a lot that has to happen for that. That was just like a perfect storm. I want to see Denzel Perryman do it back-to-back. If he can do it back-to-back, he's starting to get up there in age. $4.5 million is a reasonable contract. I'm not worried about that money. But if you're telling me, if we're going to play the deserving game, are you going to give money to someone who deserves it, you feel like, a guy like Perryman who can be replaced? And that's not to discredit Perryman. You can't replace a Darren Waller like you can a Denzel Perryman, if that makes sense. And if you're telling me I can go out and get Robert Quinn and Perryman has to play out his contract that he's on, I'm going to go get Robert Quinn 10 out of 10 times. Yes, I've been here several times before. I'd be everywhere, really, wherever I can catch a good Raiders content. I appreciate that, brother. I'm going to take that as a subtle slight that you think that we put out some good Raiders content over here, brother. So I appreciate that love, and I appreciate you, and I hope that you pull up more. I love it, man. Anthony says he's our guy. Promote within, and we have. We have promoted from within. I mean, look at Derek Carr. Look at Hunter Renfrow. Look at Max Crosby. Look at all these guys. And you're talking about a staff who has no commitment, no strings attached with these players, and was willing to come in and extend them. That doesn't happen very often. So this organization and players around the league know that the Raiders are willing to commit to the guys on the roster. And I agree to promote from within. But you can promote from within, and they can play out their contract that they're on and address it in the offseason, especially if you're bringing in a superstar type of player like a Robert Quinn. He separates your defense. Robert Quinn separates your defense far more than what a Denzel Perryman does. It's just facts. 18.5 sacks last year. Are you going to trade that for a really good run defender? I'm not. I'm not willing to justify that. I'll take the guy who can get after these quarterbacks that are in the AFC West, guys like Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. I want these guys running for their life. And that's what Robert Quinn brings to the silver and black. Anthony says Perryman and Waller deserve a raise, and nobody's arguing that. I agree with that. I can lie. I like Perryman a lot, and I like Perryman a lot too, man. I hope when you guys hear me talk about Perryman, I hope you're not hearing me in a sense that I don't like the guy or I don't think that he deserves money, because I believe both of those things. I really like it. I really like Perryman, but I really like Robert Quinn, and I really like being able to get after the quarterback. And we're not losing Denzel Perryman. Denzel Perryman's not going to sit out. Denzel Perryman still has a year on his contract. This is the final year of his deal. You can address it in the offseason. Go get Robert Quinn. Van City Raider says, Ray, I'm having a hard time figuring out what Ziegler's doing right now. And respect to your opinion, honestly, more than I respect some other creators. You know your stuff. Is Ziegler done with this D? Van, let me tell you one thing. No. Dave Ziegler's not done with his defense. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he has to go out and trade for superstars. But I think that you're going to see Dave Ziegler and Champ Kelly turn over every single rock that's going to be available. I believe Patrick Graham has a list of guys that he's probably given Dave Ziegler. They've talked about. guys who are on rosters that are more than likely going to be released when training camp cuts come. And you're going to see guys come and contribute to the roster, right? This is what they've done, okay? Just to kind of backpack on what you just said with what you just dropped. I just don't get why he's signing all these no-name USFL guys when there's $20 million just sitting there, and there's some great guys out there. And there's some organizations with more cap space than what we have, and those players are still sitting on the open market, which is why I want you to hear me out on this, because I respect your opinion too. And I appreciate your support when talking about that. I know what I'm talking about. These USFL guys, these guys under the rock, okay, historically with the Raiders organization, we've seen us go out there and give guys a second opportunity to resurrect their career. And a lot of guys have found a lot of success with the Raiders. So the developmental league signings I like a lot, because not to say that they're going to make the roster, but what you're doing is you're giving a guy an opportunity who lost his shot. And now you're giving him that second chance. Like, hey, look, I'm giving you an open door and opportunity. And we have a roster spot, especially at the safety position and the defensive back room and the defensive tackle. If you can come in here and separate yourself, you have a real shot to make the roster. And I like that. Now, these USFL guys, they're not all going to make the roster. Maybe none of them are going to make the roster. But you have $20 million on the open market, and you can wait. I think they're being patient, man. I think they're being patient for when these teams release, or the guys that go on the trade block and maybe go make a move and give up a late round compensation pick and go get a guy towards the start of the regular season, especially get through training camp and see what injuries pop up. I know that the defensive back room and the defensive line room and the offensive line are the main topic of conversation. But look, knock on wood, if anything happens to any other department, who's to say that you don't lose Josh Jacobs in some freak accident? And I don't want to put that on anybody, or somebody in the wide receiver or the tight end room or the defensive end position. Now there's a big hole on the Raiders roster, and they got to go fill it. So I think they're being patient when it comes to finances, which I preach all this entire offseason. Be patient with your money, because there's going to be an opportunity where injuries are going to happen. This is the National Football League. Hold on to that money. Wait till later in later into training camp, into the start of the season, and even into the trade deadline. Hang on to some of that money and go and benefit your roster in that way. So Van City, I think that's what he's doing. By no means are they done creating a roster here. Let's just have both and be happy, Quinn and Perryman. I know we need to spend that $22 million. Let's roll the dice. It's Vegas, and I agree with my opinion 100%. Let's just be happy and have both. Go get a Robert Quinn. You guys, 18.5 sacks. Could you imagine pairing a guy like Quinn with Crosby and Jones and Malcolm Koontz? Phenomenal defensive front. Why would you not want arguably the best front seven in football? I want it. Corny says, I think we should go ahead and lock down our most contributing players before bringing in too many more camp bodies. Here's the thing, though, Corny. Are we doing this because we have a love for these players and we love the commitment? And in times past, we've fallen in love with players and we want them to stick around with the Raider Nation for as long as possible? Or are we trying to go compete for a Super Bowl right now? Because if you're going to try to go compete for a Super Bowl right now, some of these guys are going to have to play out their contract. And you're going to have to pursue really good football players, guys like a Robert Quinn. You're going to have to maybe bring in a guy on a trade. Look at what the LA Rams have done. And I'm not saying that's been the perfect route. But what they've been able to do is go and compete for championships. I know that. And I've waited long enough as a Raider fan. Courtney, you've waited long enough as a Raider fan. If Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler have really opened up the Super Bowl window right now for 3 seasons to go and win it and pursue a championship, right now is the time to go do it. Right now is the time that the Raiders need to go and put their foot on the throat of the NFL and go get superstar players. I mean, you have a 3-year window. Go get them now. That's where I'm at with it. I love Denzel Perryman. I love the Raiders that are on the roster, but I love winning big football games even more. And if that means they have to play out their contract, then they got to play out their contract, and you go get good football players. I'm tired of playing around. I'm tired of not building a team that's built for depth when injuries pop up and one injury decimate the entire season. I'm ready to go win, Courtney. I know Raider Nation is too. I know you are too. Let's go win, man. Let's take our feelings out of it and let's look at this from a winning standpoint. Good take on Ray Quinn. I appreciate that, brother. This would be my question. We know what we need to be a contender: a defensive tackle, a CB, and another safety. Why don't we just fill those spots and be ready to roll? Because they're waiting for an opportunity for there's obviously not a player on the open market right now that they're wanting to go get, or else they would have done it. I mean, they've shown that they're not afraid to be aggressive, right, Van? I mean, they pinned their ears back and gave up the assets to go get Devontae. They were aggressive and went out and got Chandler Jones. They're going to be patient. And that's what they've shown historically over in New England, too. They'll be patient. But look, they're not afraid to go and trade for a superstar player. So play the patient game, man. Be patient. That's what I'm going to preach to Raider Nation. Be patient, and you're going to be extremely satisfied with the outcome of the season, with the players that they're able to go get. And don't get me wrong, they don't all need to be superstar names. They just got to fit the scheme and what Josh McDaniels are doing. And absolutely 100% Ray. Like you're talking about Robert Quinn, who had 18 and a half sacks last year as a defensive tackle. Why is Ziegler going after USL guys when he could go to sign that hog and our defense would be 10 times better tomorrow than it is today? It's hard to understand. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes when it comes to these business decisions. How much are you going to be willing? Okay, Van, right now, just drop it in the comment section. What would you be willing to give up right now to go get Robert Quinn? Draft capital wise, player trade, whatever your situation is, what are you willing to give up to go get Robert Quinn today? And now let's address it and look at it from an organizational standpoint. Does it benefit the Chicago Bears? Because if they lose Robert Quinn, they've already lost Khalil Mack this offseason. If they lose Robert Quinn and Robert Quinn does want out of Chicago, let's clear the air of that. What are you going to have to give up? What are you going to have to give up? And what are you willing to give up? If you're willing that Dave Ziegler needs to go all in and make this roster, what are you willing to give up to go get a Robert Quinn? What are you going to be willing to give up to go get an established veteran corner? Are you willing to give up draft capital? Because we're going to have contracts that are expiring, and if you don't have first, second round picks, unless they nail those late round draft picks, you're going to be talking about a potential problem. But I think you give up the assets. I think that they're good enough. We better be trying to win. I expect us to be, and they are. Don't get me wrong, without a shadow of a doubt. Let's see. Mark Davis wants to win. I can see that. He's trying so hard. I agree. More so than any offseason that I've ever seen. Mark Davis has really done a remarkable job getting out of the way this year and hiring people who know what they're doing. He's tried in times past, guys. I really do think so. I think he tried with Reggie McKenzie and Jack Del Rio. I really do. I think he thought at the time that was going to be a really good deal. And look, they got Khalil Mack and Derek Carr and a lot of foundational guys in times past. So it wasn't a complete disaster. He got his franchise quarterback, at least out of all that. The John Gruden, Mike Mayock, he really tried. He really believed and loved John Gruden. I think he really believed John Gruden could turn around this organization. And even though John Gruden had his ups and downs in his return with the silver and black, he got a lot of foundational players. He got the Max Crosbys. He got the Hunter Renfrow, the Nate Hobbs, all those guys that we love and enjoy. So the Gruden era wasn't a complete fail either. And now you got Dave Ziegler, Champ Kelly, and Josh McDaniels, and I just think that he's really solidified these moves. Trayvon Mullen and a second and I don't know about Trayvon Mullen. I like Trayvon. He hasn't shown it. He hasn't been healthy, so I agree with you. I see why. I understand why, Van, you put it. A second, a little rich. Let me put this out there. We all know that Cleve Farrell's moving on, right, after this season. What if you give up Cleve Farrell, former first-round draft pick, and let's say a future second, maybe not next season, but the year after. So a future second-round draft pick, and you give up Cleve Farrell and maybe a fourth. Do you do it? I think you do it hands down. I'll give up a second-round draft pick to win now. Doesn't mean you can't trade up. You still got your third, your fourth, or your fifth. So I do like that. I do like the second. Probably wouldn't use Trayvon Mullen. I'd probably use another edge player. A guy like Cleve Farrell. So we'll see. Robert Quinn wouldn't just be a cam body. He'd be on the roster, but people that'll be filled just for preseason then drop. Why waste money on them when we can get Quinn, Philon, Lock, and Waller? like I said, man, there's a lot of things going on behind the scene. Like these things aren't just like, hey, Chicago, yeah, I want Robert Quinn. All right, deal. Let's get it done. There's a lot of stuff, man. They're going to look at the roster. They're going to try to get a good player. There's just going to be a lot of back and forth. So we'll see how it plays out, man. But if Dave Ziegler was interested in Robert Quinn, I expect the LA Rams to be interested in Robert Quinn. He's played for him before. And the LA Rams have an aggressive front office, and they've shown that they want to win. And when they're in Super Bowls, their fan base is happy. They're not worried about the draft picks and the draft capitals when they're going and competing deep into the playoffs and for Super Bowls. Why should we? I mean, it's not like the first round draft picks have really panned out anyways. Just keep it real. Let's keep it real. So, and we've got an established veteran roster at this point with a good blend of youth. Just keep those late round draft picks and get and find those gems. Look, I'm okay right now. I'm okay with being aggressive and giving up some draft capital to go get better. As long as you're getting a football player you know is going to contribute to your roster. Robert Quinn is that. I love it. I agree with you, Courtney. Give up something. Go get him. We've been aggressive. Why stop here? Why stop now? I asked the same question every content that got different answers. If the Raiders don't use that cap, can the cap be moving in next year? We've gotten so many different answers. We've addressed it kind of, Jack, and I love you, but I'm not worried about the cap situation. And if we can move it, we can move it. I mean, I've heard different things. You can definitely move money over. But the Raiders have places where that money's going to go, Jack. And you're going to have to draft. You're going to have to draft well. So we need to stop worrying about building this team in free agency. I'm not worried about the cap. The core players that you want on this roster, Jack, are already signed to extensions outside of Waller. The core players are done. We just need to get Waller done. And we have the cap to do that. Outside of that, these next few years are going to be all about that draft class. You're not going to have the Raiders have a ton of cap space and go out and pursue a bunch of big-name targets on free agency. That's going to happen in 3 years when these contracts expire. From here on out, this offseason was the big free agent, big cash money spent offseason. And it was the greatest offseason we've seen in the last 20 years. Now it's going to be about developing a roster the right way, and that's through the draft. So I'm not worried about cap space. I'm not. I'm done. I'm down to trading a draft pick if the trade is good, without a shadow of a doubt. And what's a good trade pick? I mean, if you come in here and he gives you 14 sacks, what first round draft pick is contributing 14 sacks and giving you a Super Bowl run? At what point do you weigh out the value of this? What is that metric? What is that scale? What is it worth it? Now at his age, you're not going to have to give up a first round draft pick. I like Van City's topic about a second. A second is rich too. But that's just saying, hey, look, we're looking out for you, Chicago. Give us this aging veteran that's very successful. We'll give you a second. I like that. I like that a lot. Auntie is out here supporting his Dodgers. Van City's for 18.5 sacks. You put that in the middle between Chandler and Max. Come on, bro. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, Van. I don't know why people aren't getting on this train and talking about it more, man, but I'm looking at this roster strategically. Look at this as if you're Dave Ziegler. Go out and get this guy. If he wants out and he's on the open market and Chicago's like, hey, look, my player wants out. What are you willing to give up? Give up what you have to. That's what I say. Give up what you have to and let's go chase a Super Bowl. Help this defensive back room by creating one of the nastiest front sevens in all of football. Probably the nastiest front seven if you can go out and get this guy. It's my opinion. I would just trade a third for Quinn and maybe a sixth. And maybe throw a player in there. I don't know who it would have to be necessarily. I know they need offensive line help. And obviously if we take Quinn, they're going to need edge rush. Third and a six might do it. It might just be enough, especially at his age. We cannot let the Rams outmove us. And they'll be willing to do it. That's why I'm telling Raider Nation, man, stay aggressive. Stay aggressive and go and pursue a championship. Why not? We're in win now, guys. Let's go do it. Let's go chase it. I still want Van Jefferson, but that won't happen. That would have been a sneaky good move. It's not going to happen, though. We're too late in that situation. That ain't going to happen. But you guys, listen. Oh, let me address a few of these chats real quick. I'm sticking out for you guys, all right? Okay. What is Quinn's cap hit? It's $9 million, Jack. 18 and a half sacks for $9 million. In today's market, that is a stupid steal. I mean, stupid steal. Think of what Cleveland Farrell's getting paid this year. You want Quinn or you want Farrell? I don't think it's much of a question. Go pay him. Go get Quinn. Give up whatever allocated draft capital you got to go get. Now don't go giving up first rounds and all that. Don't be doing an old rest in peace to his soul Al Davis move. But go out there and give them what they want. Because they're in a different position than we are. They're not competing for a Super Bowl. Quinn wants to compete for a Super Bowl, and the Raiders are there. Raiders are that team. And if I'm Robert Quinn, why would I not want to come and play in a division that is going to be the premier division in all of football, has the greatest competition? When you look at the quarterbacks, it gives them an opportunity to go against some of the best quarterbacks in all of football. You have a Chandler Jones and a Max Crosby, a Malcolm Koontz. You have premier pass rushers. Could you imagine? How are you going to guard them? How do you double? They're already going to have issues doubling the Raiders front. You go get a Robert Quinn, and you get Robert and Max coming off the edges, and Jones and Koontz. Good luck. These quarterbacks will fear playing the Raiders. I love it. Love my Raiders. Love the show and debated content. Enjoy everyone here. Raiders. And I enjoy you too, Corny. I love it. That's why we do this, man. Even if we don't agree on all things, man, we are going to address it. We're going to bring it. Like I said, the Raiders paradigm, man. We're going to look at this roster and we're going to see how everybody views it. And maybe we can sharpen each other. Maybe bring a perspective. I hope I sharpen somebody's perspective tonight. That's my goal. Make Raider Nation more educated, more smart, more realistic. And you guys do that to me also. It isn't just me. You guys do that to me. You guys give me perspectives that maybe I didn't think about, and maybe I give you guys perspectives that maybe you didn't think about. Carlos says, I love seeing Herbert on the ground 100%. I love every quarterback in this division to be eating dirt. I want him pulling dirt out of the face mask. Ray dropped in to show love, my brother. Shout out to you, Richard Lyon. I love you, brother. Thank you for pulling up and showing some support. Van City says, go pay that guy. And see, just like that, we come to an agreement. Go pay that guy. We would pay Sue probably, I mean, come on, for real, $6 million. Yeah. Go get Robert Quinn for $3 more million. Go get him. Catch everyone later. Finish enjoying this good movie. Shout out to you, Corny, man. Much love to you, man. God bless you, and I hope that you take care, man. I can't wait to see you next time. All right, Raider Nation, we had a phenomenal show tonight, man. I know 24 of you pulled up. If you guys haven't yet, go smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I know you guys started tuning in late. I didn't realize Andy was doing a live show, so I apologize. Maybe I'll try to tune in and see when other guys are going live so I can really allocate time for you guys to come into the chat. But I just appreciate all of you guys that stayed faithful to Raider Ray and came in here and showed love and support, man. I can't do any of this without you guys, and you guys are the reason why I do this. I love each and every single one of you guys. I thank you for spending some time with me on your Saturday. I stayed later for the chat, man, and I did that for the Raider Nation. So I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Before you guys bounce out of here, man, go smash that like button. Stay tuned, man. I'm dropping content all week. I'm going to do another live show. So if you guys came in late on this one, we're going to do more this coming week as pads come on, and I'm really excited to come and talk Raiders football with you guys. I love you guys. God bless each and every one of you, man. If you guys are struggling, man, everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved, man. We're out here not only to talk about football, but to talk about things that are bigger than football. Know that God loves each and every single one of you, man, and just call on him, man. So I love you guys. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay blessed. Enjoy your family. I'll see you guys this week, all right? You guys take care. God bless each and every single one of you, man. Much love, Raider Nation.